going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 9 of the Control Your Epps-perience podcast. I am the namesake, the host, Alan Epps, inviting you to continue to control your experience right here on YouTube, DSPs, wherever you're listening to me, and of course in your day-to-day lives. A lot happened this past week. As you guys remember, I had to do my broadcast a little early because I had a special guest in town. I'm gonna try and shoot for Fridays and Saturdays so I can do a Sunday of editing and have it out either on Sunday night, Monday morning. But you know, as life seems to be slowed down with COVID and everything, somehow I'm always busy. I don't know. But more to follow on that. I started last podcast trying to predict what would happen between my Cowboys and the Cardinals, and I was optimistic that it would be a shootout, that we might win, we might lose, but if we won, it wouldn't be any more than 4 points. And Jesus fucking Christ, what happened? That wasn't so much a football game, it's just a collapse of a football team. That by all means should have been exactly what I predicted, a shootout. And who won would have been up to who had the ball last, most likely. But at the same time, my team, the team that showed up, played terrible. Point blank period. Our stars were dropping touchdowns. Zeke fumbled twice. Andy Dalton, even though he got robbed on an interception where our receiver got fucking tackled, you know what I mean? But still, he threw one close to our end zone where that should have been a pick six, but the defender dropped it. Buda Baker earned every bonus that could have foreseeably been built into his contract, so shout out to him for wreaking havoc on my team. But at the same time, man, it's like we had a freaking high school varsity line out there. Our one remaining veteran lineman of once the most dominant line in football, he left the game concussed. He might be out this weekend too against the Washington the Washington football team. So yeah, we got a ragtag is even too kind for these motherfuckers. This is like the great value thrift wish offensive line. So I have no expectations for this. Is pretty much a lost season. I don't want to see them play like it's a lost season, because I would, even if we go defeated for the rest of the season, I want to see fight. I don't want to see the tanking and everything like that. But at the same time, I do want to see people get protected, because these injuries, oh my fucking God, we just can't. We can't do this any fucking more. But yeah, so predictions for the Washington football team. That pass rush is fucking nasty. So unless Zeke can hold the ball and we can get at least 4 yards of carry, I would even predict a blowout for the Washington football team. But at the same time, them niggas can't score either. But if you can't score, our defense has the answer for you. So I won't ever root for them, but I don't expect a win this weekend. In fact, if and when we lose, I hope it's bad, because it seems that that's one of the few things that get Jerry fired up, is losing to that pitiful excuse for a franchise. But guess what? We look just like them. And when I say that, it's because our fucking fans, man, I would leave these Facebook groups if it wasn't for the memes. But now it's like, growing up in the DMV, my dad's a Redskins fan, and I've grown up watching this franchise, the formerly Washington Redskins, Washington Foreskins, currently the Washington football team. I've watched them ruin quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. And this predates their current owner, Dan Snyder, where it's just they get a highly touted veteran or a highly touted draft pick, or even a proven veteran from another team. And this has been going on since Joe Theismann, ever since Joe Theismann. But let's talk about Joe Theismann. You can't start it after him. Joe Theismann got his fucking leg broke. Now, granted, that was an iconic play at the time. Lawrence Taylor was a savage. This wasn't just some scrub. And he did his Hall of Fame job, and he broke the dude's leg. But if you look from there, there's just a culture of not... Lawrence Taylor is the reason why left tackles, or the blindside tackle, because most quarterbacks are right-handed. He's the reason why left tackles get the contracts they get now. Why they're so highly touted. Because your quarterback in your franchise, it don't mean shit if somebody like Lawrence Taylor is coming off the edge. Now, in a league full of Lawrence Taylors, and that's not to minimize the god himself, you know what I mean? But there's so many more premier pass rushers, so many more athletic pass rushers. You absolutely have to invest in your blindside protector if you want a quarterback to have any sort. If you want to call somebody a franchise quarterback, if you want to build around him, what sense does it make not to have a fence? So that's why left tackles are so important in the game of football. But from there, it had to be the Redskins to set that tone. Oh, yeah, we need a left tackle. They don't do what they need to do to protect their quarterback and even their left tackles. You saw was he Trent? I believe he was was he a D lineman? I can't remember. He's a lineman. I don't pay too much attention to this fucking football team because fuck them. But they don't take care of their players. That's why Trent is with the 49ers now, because he had a growth on his forehead, and for years they told him it was nothing, but it was fucking cancer, and thank God they caught it. So that's why he's gone. But just from the quarterback, going back from Gus Frerotte, Heath Shuler, Patrick Ramsey, Jason Campbell, RG3, quarterback after quarterback. And these are solid guys. And you can't say it's a system thing because you got pocket pass, you got mobile guys, you got accurate motherfucking throwers of the fucking football. So it's a coach's job to, one, protect them, to two, to give a scheme that goes to their talents or whatever and put them in a position to win. If they don't pan out, they don't pan out. You can't put that on the coach. But every time they're switching coaches. It's like their owners are just grabbing Madden cards. You remember that when we used to play Madden and you could activate those cards to soup up people? He just picked people regardless of chemistry, regardless of if they fit the system that's there. Then they change the coach and then change the system once they finally get somebody to come together. It's just fucking ridiculous. And the quarterbacks pay the price. Patrick Ramsey was the first NFL player I ever heard cry. Okay? There was a season where he set the record for getting sacked the most time, and he was on the cover of Time magazine. He looked like it was like when Mel Gibson was like freedom, but he's on his knees like this. But I remember watching that game, and they have those parabolic mics, and I could hear this man cry. I didn't know fucking NFL players cry. I mean, I'm sure they're like, but these were fucking pain, my nigga. Like he was getting his ass beat, and that's what drove it home to me that this football team just figures you can just throw anybody in there because his stats or he's highly paid and he better do the job. That's not how this fucking game works. Okay? And then by proxy, the fucking fans will say, oh, we need a quarterback. We need a quarterback. How many quarterbacks you going to chew up before you realize your franchise is fucked? And this is long before Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder is just making it obvious that he don't know what the fuck he doing. And there's not a culture of winning. There's not even a culture that you want to. It's a toxic work environment. Never mind a toxic football environment to work up there. So now in the latest casualty, look what they're doing to fucking Dwayne Haskins. We saw this shit with Heath Shuler and Gus Frerotte, where one gets hurt, then the other one comes in, and then he's hot, but then they go back to the other dude, and they didn't even give Dwayne Haskins a chance to be that guy, and he's what they need. He's what they need. He's got all the measurables. He's got all the tangibles. He's a rookie. He needs to progress, but you're looking at him like, oh, he's supposed to be Patrick Mahomes and everything. Even Patrick Mahomes was allowed to progress. But what do? They switch him out for some random dude who they know is not their future. And then they can't even protect him. He got his ribs rocked again. So who's back in? Alex Smith has to come in. The dude who almost lost his fucking foot, fucking with y'all medical staff. And now they talking about they might trade Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins is a DC boy, a DMV boy. If anybody wants to see that team win, it's him. Him and Chase, their pass rusher out of Ohio State. Both of them out of Ohio State. If anybody wants that team to win beyond just, justifying their contract and getting paid, it's them. If anybody galvanized, fuck-ass fan base, it's them too. And y'all treating him like a redheaded fucking stepchild. This shit pisses me off just as a football fan. I don't care that it's the what the fucks, but I don't want that to become my team. But you go into these fucking fan groups for the Cowboys and they talking about the same shit. All last year, oh, Dak's overrated. We shouldn't pay him that much. We can get another quarterback. And now Zeke's struggling. Oh, Zeke's overrated. We paid them too much. Oh, Andy Dalton isn't the answer. Or just last week, oh, Andy, calm down, guys. Andy Dalton can do it. And now y'all see how much Dak was fucking doing. And never mind the players, because at the end, players are going to ebb and flow. I'm not convinced that the culture of the Cowboys is going the way it needs to be, the way it has been historically, the way in a far cry from our runs in the 90s. Okay? When players are coming out saying that the coaches are just inept and unprepared, you can't just win this game off sheer athleticism. This isn't basketball when one guy can just take over a game for 60 minutes. Like, no. That's not how this fucking works. So, and the fans, oh my God, oh, get another guy. And do what with him? Not protect him? Put him behind the ragtag line? Expect him to pick up a system that does not play to our fucking strengths? No. And if this is really about personnel, If only there was a mobile quarterback free agent with a rocket arm and peak physical and condition and health available right now. Now I know it's Jerry Jones and he would sooner croak than that would happen. But if this was about players, that's what it would be about. We have a fundamental problem. If we are not careful, we're going to turn into the Washington what the fucks. Ew. Ew. All right. Also, so yeah, I don't know what's going to happen this weekend. I think we're going to lose. And if we do lose, I hope it's a fucking blowout. And I hope heads roll. The first heads that need to go, Mike Nolan, you schmuck. Like, I don't even know how he got the job, honestly and truly, because his last defense was the worst in the league. So how did he get hired again? Our head coach is on thin ice. Kellen Moore needs to fucking go. I liked him as a player at Boise State, and I even think that he would be a dope coach at Boise State. But your game only works at the collegiate level, where the differences in athleticism can change the game, and the scheme. Everybody is fast in this league. And he's money between the 20s. 80 to 80, he's going to chew up those yards. But we struggle in the red zone. So if we don't score from 30 yards or more out, we're not going to fucking score. And now you got fucking Greg DeLay missing fucking... Oh, my fucking God. Oh, my fucking God. I'm stressed. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know it's going to be bad, and it's going to be embarrassing. And, yeah, I'm going to be drinking. Tua... from Alabama fame, now the quarterback for the Dolphins. He made his first start, well not start, his first drive in the final 2 minutes of a blowout win. Who are these fucking Miami Dolphins and where did they come from? But he looked good in the little 2-minute drill that he ran. Not just from like handing off the ball, being able to move, because as y'all recall, he had that Bo Jackson injury where that ended Bo Jackson's career. Now thankfully, it's 20, 30 years later, medicine is advanced, rehab, all that stuff. So he looks like he can move, but he didn't really get too funky doing what he used to do at Alabama. It was just a 2-minute sample of work. What I liked out of it was just the poise. The moment wasn't too big for him. Now, obviously, the game was pretty much decided, but the fans, they erupted when he came out there, and even Ryan Fitzpatrick erupted in the garbage time move. So you never know how that's going to feel. Running offense, but he looked like his same old poised self. What I also liked is the route combinations that he ran. He threw what appeared to be in the coverage, but there was a combination route. It was a sluggo route, and he read a zone, and he fitted into a window that if you were looking at it the wrong camera, it looked like it was going to get snatched by the defense. But he put it right in there, protected his receiver, was on time, and just looked calm. So I liked what I saw out of him, and I'm glad he's making it. And in the strange, bizarre move, not even a day after that, they announced that he is now the starting quarterback. And that kind of puzzles me, just because the Dolphins are leading the division, I believe. But on top of that, Ryan Fitzpatrick has been getting the job done. So why do you mess with that? I understand this is meritocracy, and I hated it because even Ryan Fitzpatrick had to find out through social media. Like, nobody even gave him a fucking call, which is fucking trash, especially to a guy who you don't expect. He knows he's not the franchise quarterback. He knows he's not the future. He wouldn't have any expectations. But I think respect is a foregone expectation in any job. But this man, nobody expected shit out of the Dolphins this year, and he's fucking doing it. Like, nothing spectacular, but he's not putting you guys in a position to lose the game. He's helping you win the game. So there's no really need for a switch, especially when you're a rookie. He's still a fucking rookie. And he was rehabbing through camp, so he didn't get the reps with the first team. So why not just do that? If wait until you get into a position where if your team is up, put to it in. Or incorporate some shit, change the schemes up, throw a curveball. I don't think Ryan would have objected to that, but to just outright bench him is just ridiculous to me. And disrespectful. And then the way they did it is just nonsense. I mean, and what I also hope is that they're not looking at this, we got a chance to go all the way. I mean, you might, Miami. I'm not saying you don't, but what I'm also saying is do not put your rookie in that position to get him fucking hurt again. Because he's moving right now. But there's a reason why you guys were fucking pathetic last year. Don't put him in that position, and then that gets revealed against better competition, and you knock him out. I don't want to see that for Tua, because that's how you ruin a young quarterback. So I wish him the best. I don't want to say the Dolphins best. I'm not a Dolphins fan, but I love football. I love comeback stories, and Tua was always that dude at Alabama. So I like to see it. And other NFL news, Dennis Stubblefield. So for those of you who don't know, he's retired now, but he used to play for several teams. The Redskins. That's how I initially knew him, and then he left and went to the Niners, and he ended up winning a Super Bowl. I don't forgot who he won it with, but regardless, he was like he might have been made it to the Hall of Fame at one point because he was a dominant player. Um, Evidently, this fucker just got convicted and sentenced to 15 fucking years for forcible rape, and this is a grown ass man, an older dude. And from what I hear, what makes this particularly egregious, obviously rape is fucking trash, but he was interviewing a woman to be the babysitter for his kids or nanny or whatever, and she's around 30, but she's also developmentally challenged. And he basically forced her to oral copulation and sex acts. And he just this wasn't in the news. I just saw that he got convicted. And yeah, fuck him. 15 years, I hope somebody treats him the same way. I got no patience for fucking rapists. Antonio Brown, it was widely believed that the Seahawks were going to try and make a run from him, which the rich would have just got richer. I would love to see that for Russ, because I would love to see, Russ is balling right now. Russ has DK. Russ has Tyler Lockett, even though Tyler Lockett lost me my fucking fantasy league last year. Okay, I'm in the fucking championship. I literally needed .08 points to win. .08. That's one catch. He don't even have to get a yard. Just a catch or a first, whatever. This motherfucker put up a goose egg. And I lost the money, the championship. Because Tyler Lockett's virgin ass put up a 0. He's literally a virgin. I'm not calling him. He's a fucking virgin. But fuck him. But anyway, so to add, and he's balling this year. So to add Antonio Brown to that mix on paper is just too potent. Too potent. What it would do to the chemistry, I don't know. But I get the feeling that even AB was like, nah, it's not going to work. Because DK is a monster. You're not beating DK ass. You probably ain't going to gel with Tyler Lockett's virtuous ass, you being the turbo thought. And Russell Wilson, I don't know. Maybe he looks at him as soft or whatever. But it also, what I think it really came down to is Antonio Brown is a Tom Brady groupie, and that's why he got signed to the fucking Buccaneers. Now, what he's going to do to that locker room, I'm not entirely sure. I think Mike Evans is still the undisputed number one. Where I think the static is going to come in is with him and Chris Godwin competing for reps and routes because they run the same role. Body of work wise, I think Antonio Brown is the better athlete, but Chris Godwin is consistent. So, and then of course you got Gronk. So I think that slot, whoever plays the slot is going to eat over there, just because you got to pick between Gronk and him, and either Chris Godwin or Antonio Brown in that position is just fucking nasty. But I mean, everybody thought that Tampa would be running shit. I mean, they're doing well, but then they also have who is this team? Damn, Tom Brady looks old moment. So who knows? In other football news, moving to the collegiate sphere. So everybody knows that Deion Sanders became the coach for Jackson State University, Division II FCS school, an HBCU. And that was a big deal just because, Deion Sanders is fucking primetime. And for him coming to an HBCU like that, it was just nice to see one of our greats coming back and giving back to one of our institutions. And then two, immediately they started getting some high-end recruits either coming directly to Jackson State or changing their commitments from other schools to come play for him. And, anybody black could have saw this coming. Now, Jackson State is being sanctioned and fined, put on probation by the NCAA, which in itself should be like, since when does the NCAA give a shit about what happens at the FCS level? And from what I understand, there was a series of violations, which I'll read them to you right now. They basically involved some improper visits that occurred, and they had 34 student athletes practice and compete before receiving final certification from the NCAA, meaning that they had been declared eligible, but he was treating them like they were. Well, not he. I mean, Jackson State was treating them like he were. That's important to say because all these violations happened before Deion Sanders was the head coach. Okay? So that's the other thing. Why is the NCAA coming down on an FCS school, coming down this hard, and this wasn't the coach? So one could argue that the school already rectified the situation and got rid of the old leadership. All right? So, but we all know what this is. Yeah, so, and then there was another one where the program paid $300 to the godmother of a football prospect, arranging impermissible tutoring for a student athlete. So not that they bought his grades or anything like that, but they paid a tutor to help him before he was eligible, which is a violation. I'm not justifying it, but I'm just saying that's the scope of the violation. Both level 2 violations according to the NCAA, but again, this is an FCS school. So the following punishments came down. The program is on 2 years probation. They got fined $5,000, which doesn't seem that big a deal. A 2% reduction in baseball scholarship equivalencies from the annual limit of 11.7 equivalencies during the 21 and 22 academic year, and a 2.5% reduction in football scholarship equivalencies from the annual limit of 63. Now, what that says to me is that this wasn't even just football. This is the Jackson State Athletic Department that was fucking up. But again, let me get this straight. You are penalizing them for, okay, treating kids who weren't yet eligible yet as possibly eligible, and then paying for somebody to get a tutor. So you're going to take scholarship money from kids? Okay. I mean, whatever. I'm not saying I'm sure that's statutory, but the spirit and intent of the punishment just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. The football program must serve a 1-week ban on unofficial visits. Makes sense. Reduction of 4 football official paid visits. Makes sense. So hurting the recruiting. The football program must serve a 1-week ban on all recruiting communication, more hurting the recruiting, and a vacation of records of contests in which student athletes participated while ineligible. So basically, if those student athletes had played in any kind of games, baseball or otherwise, while they weren't officially eligible, then if they won or whatever, it's an automatic L. All right. We know what this is, man. We know what this is. And I hope the push continues that black athletes, football, baseball, whatever sport it may be, come home, start hitting and keep our talent home, and let's grow up our HBCUs, because obviously the establishment is already threatened between that push from the basketball side, from the football side, and then before, I think in California, ruling that student athletes can get money or something like that. The NCAA is feeling it and they're flailing out. So fuck them. I hope that keeps going. I hope Primetime not only keeps that rolling, but, you know, I can't really root for Jackson State. I'm a Tuskegee. Not that we ever play with each other for real, but yeah. Moving forward, and I hate to hear news. A Texas woman died on a flight because of COVID. Like, she got on an airplane and died from COVID, which means even if she didn't know, this bitch knew, but even if she didn't know that she had COVID, she knew she was fucking sick. And in this climate, she got on an airplane where other people have to breathe her air. And then she fucking died. What the fuck is wrong with people? You know, we keep seeing these videos more and more, and it's always the whites. Always the whites. Just wilding about having to wear a mask. And don't you understand that the mask might not be protecting you, but it's protecting other people from you? So that makes you a special kind of scumbag. But regardless, why wouldn't you want to do that on an airplane? It's recycled air. You're guaranteed to get the fucking cooties. Like, what? I don't understand these fucking people. And then this motherfucker flat out died on an airplane. I'm tired of y'all niggas. Like, honestly and truly. Honestly and truly. I got thrown in Facebook jail for 24 hours. And when I went to go look why, evidently it was for past offenses. So in full circle, the internet criminal justice system is doing its best to mimic the actual American criminal justice system, except for I haven't been shot by my computer yet, so more to follow on that. But they said that I got thrown in jail because 4 past offenses. And when they show the past offenses, all 4 of those, I spent 30 days in jail. In fact, it's hilarious because you can see where I got out and went right back in, got out, went right back in. And the last one was back in, I want to say, August or something like that. So these are older, and then I just got thrown in 24 for those. So I don't know, but fuck Facebook, and you know what, fuck Twitter too, because they threw me in jail the week prior. I just be trying to make it. That's why I'm here, controlling my Epps-perience, because fuck them. In 0 days without white nonsense news, and you know what? I don't really want to put that smut on this dude, because at the end of the day, he's living life. But there's a white guy, I think he's in England somewhere, or Britain, and he has an affinity for what are traditionally women's clothes. So we're talking about like skirts, blouses, and mostly his combos were male shirts, but they were tailored, which is how you're supposed to wear shirts, but with female lower half. So he would have pencil skirts, leather skirts, whatever they may be, and a banging ass shoe collection, because I didn't see a shoe on there that I haven't seen on a baddie on Instagram. And I mean, he swears that he's straight, which, I mean, whatever. Clothes don't make you gay. I mean, they can give you a clue, but they don't make you gay. He's married. He's got kids. I guess his wife doesn't mind it either. he looks like a full grown ass man. So where he's getting these shoes, because women's sizes, I don't know. I don't know the logistics of cross dressing, but what really irritated me is that the dude is clearly an athlete. Okay, I trained my calves back when I was lifting everything to the death of me. Okay, and I was pretty fast in my heyday. I can get rim easily. I've got the athletic ability in my calves, but my calves look pitiful. They look like I skip leg day. And I used to get pissed off because people used, oh, you skip leg day. I squat more than you, bitch. Like, when I was weighing 185, I was putting 315 on my back for reps. Okay? And people who can't do that tell me I skip leg day. But, whatever. And ran. His calves are fucking bananas. And you know what I've noticed? That most fine-ass women have banging-ass calves. And what do? Like, all they do is sit there and twerk and wear heels. And I'm like, is this what I gotta do for fucking calf muscles? I don't want them. But, I posted it on my Facebook and everybody was saying, oh, most of the women were like, they were taking notes. I want these these skirt and heel combinations. I didn't know that was, I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know that they were hard to put together. I thought that's whatever. I don't know. I don't pretend to understand women's fashion decisions. But they were giving him his props for his outfits put together. And then, of course, you had to, just be gay, man. I'm like, if the man say he ain't gay, he ain't gay. I might be skeptical. I might have more questions, but you can't just say he's gay because of how he dresses. His nigga's clearly married. But then again, there's plenty of married niggas that's gay. But my thing is, if he's this bold to be out, and he goes to work. This ain't just him walking around his house. He lives his life like this. So my thing is, if he's this bold, why wouldn't he just come out as gay? Or bisexual? Like, I don't think he gives a fuck. Like, who gonna check him? The man walks around in fucking stilettos. But who knows? I don't pretend to understand it. So it's nonsense in the sense that I don't understand it, but I'm not hating on that dude. Live your life. Yeah. So I'm going to. It's always struggling to figure out how to do these kind of transitions because I want to keep like an ebb and flow, the good, the bad, and the otherwise on here. But then too, you always got to be mindful of trigger warnings. But we started the week with yet another killing of an unarmed black man. And again, this is just as they're all egregious, but this one just smacks of it, like kind of like a Tatiana Jefferson, just minding her business in her house, playing video games with her nephew, and she's murdered by fucking police. Then you got the Philando Castile, where there was a traffic stop, and he did everything right, and he got murdered. But this one, there was a young man, he was a teenager, I think he was 19, named Marcellus Stinnett in Illinois. And he was sitting in the car with his girlfriend, I believe the mother of his child, but don't quote me on that. But they're just sitting there rapping in the car, in their driveway. And at some point, somebody called the police for suspicious people or whatever, and they came and they shot this man in his car and killed him. And not only did they shoot him, they shot her. And so she had to go to the hospital in critical with a bullet in her gut. From what I understand right now, I believe that police officers have been fired. Yes, police officers have been fired, but I don't see anything about charges. How many more, man? Like, honestly, truly, how many more? I'm fucking tired of this. Tired isn't even the fucking word, and it's the same shit. But rest in peace, Marcellus Stinnett. We are going to hold your head and hold your name just like we do, unfortunately, everybody else who joins this fraternity sorority of victims of police violence. I don't wish that on anybody. I don't wish that on anybody's family. And we got to keep fighting. We have this, not an option. We are under attack. So to go from there, typical police violence vein, there's been another development in I don't want to say the case, but the ongoing situation surrounding Breonna Taylor's murder, because that's what it was. Jonathan Mattingly, the officer who ended up taking a round in the leg from Breonna Taylor's boyfriend during that home invasion, because that's what the fuck it was. He had the nerve, the audacity, the unmitigated Caucasian gall to go on to do an interview with an ABC affiliate in Ohio. Why he would do I don't fucking know. But, and the sum total of his interview was that this was not racially motivated, this isn't the same as George Floyd, this isn't Alton Sterling, this isn't Philando Castile, this isn't any of that. Which means, as a police officer, at face value, he wants you to believe that he sees the wrong and fault of all of those. I promise you that Before he got his ass in the hot seat, it was all Blue Lives Matter. This, we have the toughest job. But now he seems to acquiesce that those were wrong. Fuck you. I don't believe you. You need more people. But he tries to say this isn't racial related because those people were hunted down, those people were targeted, and this was not that. We were just doing our job. It's a warrant, and it was just unfortunate it went left. Blah, 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 but we took fire. I got shot. We had to react. And here's my thing: even if you want to buy into that, which I don't, but even if you want to buy into that and say that yes, the police were executing a warrant, they had a warrant to go into her house, her name was on the warrant, and let's say we're going to ignore the whole intel, like being fraudulent. The fact of the matter is, had this been a white home, your ducks would have been in a fucking row. We're not gonna talk about how the intel that got the warrant signed was fraudulent and fabricated because you didn't do that. There was another cop who did that. Systemic bullshit. But if this was a White House, you, Officer Mattingly, would have had your ducks in a row. You would have made sure that these charges could stick because white people tend to get better lawyers and everything like that. When your tactical team, the SWAT team, says, hey, this plan is fucking stupid and it's going to get one of my guys and possibly these civilians shot, you would have took pause and reevaluated. But you didn't give a shit because you saw what these black people going to do. They shoot back, we're going to fucking murder them. That is absolutely was racially motivated, and your fucking dog whistles are offensive, and my only wish is that the boyfriend had better aim. Fuck you. That's it. That's the quote. Fuck you. Rest in peace, Breonna Taylor. I cannot begin to put into words how I feel that the walls of neighbors got justice before you did. But we will continue to say your name. In the joyous aspect of protecting black women, R. Kelly evidently got his ass whipped again. Up in prison. This is the second one that I've heard of. I think the first one was because the Beehive, the R. Kelly apologists, were outside of his jail protesting free R. Kelly, justice R. Kelly, whatever the fuck. And because of that, I guess it posed a security risk of some sort to the jail or facility, and they kept going into lockdowns. And whenever you go into lockdown, I guess the inmates lose their yard time. They got to get whatever it may be. It's unpleasant, more so than just being in prison as is. And he got his ass whipped over that. Why he got his ass whipped this time? Why he got stomped in the name of love? I have no idea, and I really don't care. And I'm sure the dude who did it was probably not a model citizen, but hey, you alright with me, all right? Because when we don't hold these people accountable, you get shit like this. So again, we've already talked about the nonsense that's happening on Zoom. The benign stuff where people's mamas are just walking around indecent, and then the dangerous shit where our kids are almost getting swatted because they have water guns and BB guns in their house. So teachers and other parents think it's a good idea to send police to black homes over that bullshit. To the most sinister shit that could ever fucking happen. There was a little girl. I want to say she was 7. Yeah, I want to say she was 7. She's home, she's on Zoom class, and her 18-year-old cousin, who had been living with them for X amount of time, decided to come in there and force her to pleasure him orally, and I'm sure some other shit. While she's in Zoom class, so her classmates saw that, the teacher saw that, and now this fucking monster has the audacity to be crying in his fucking mugshot. I can only hope that his booty hole has an echo right now. I don't wish rape on anyone. I don't. And, I struggle with the concept of rape being a punishment. But it's not a punishment. It's revenge. And if the other criminals want to do it, fine, fuck you. Because what type of fucking monster? Who are these people? And I look at this kid, he doesn't look any different from any other kid that's walking around. So that stat always hits me in my head that 1 in 5 women in America are going to be a victim of some sort of sexual assault, and 1 in 3 are going to get raped. No, 1 in 5 are going to get raped. 1 in 3 are going to be a victim of some sort of sexual assault. That's a lot of women. That's women you know. And, growing up, I found out people close to me were victims that I never would have known if I hadn't brought it, did up in passing about shit that has happened elsewhere. And moving on to, Jada Pinkett had her mother on her Red Table Talk, and it appeared that she got floored with a bombshell that Jada Pinkett's mother revealed that she's had non-consensual sex and it was with someone. They were discussing about, can you have non-consensual sex with somebody that you're in a relationship, or does that happen a lot? And she said, yeah, it happened to me, and it happened to me with your father. And of course, Jada Pinkett was floored. Now, what's irritating to me is, given all this stuff recently with the entanglements, and then now people had mixed views on Willow and Jaden, because Willow went on there and said that for a while she felt that the black community didn't accept her. Which, right, wrong, if you agree with it or not, you can't. They're entitled to their feelings, and perspective is everything. Maybe we don't know what they were going through, but at the same time, I feel like it's easy to say that we love them. Yeah, they're weirdos, but there are weirdos, and maybe if they were around us more, they would see that. But who knows? Because we live different experiences. They're still entitled to their feelings. It's not a right or wrong. It's just I'm glad they're realizing, one, that their self-worth is dictated by them, not to internalize it. But then two, it's not as bad as maybe they might have thought once, because black people fuck with the Smith churn the long way. But regardless, people think that this family will say anything, and for ratings, for clout, whatever. The Smiths are royalty. They don't need your fucking ratings. They don't need your fucking clout. Okay, like, their money is made. Their names are cemented. They're just living their lives. So you think for a second that Jada Pinkett would get her mother to A, reveal this deep dark secret for ratings, or two, B, to make it up for y'all? What are y'all even fucking talking about? And he's dead now. But she continued to be with him. Now, we're not going to get into the whole, was that a trauma bond, or because I don't know their fucking relationship. I really don't want to speculate. I'm just bringing this up that y'all motherfuckers, this is why black people don't talk. Because y'all always got something crazy to say instead of addressing the issue at hand. Oh, we're actually saying this now. Or where is this coming from? Well, what tendency? Like, and what is so far-fetched about that happening? It happens in 2020, because you still got people arguing it's a joke, but where this joke comes from is the patriarchy and misogyny of it all, that if a prostitute has sex with a John and the John doesn't pay, is that shoplifting or is that rape? Haha, nigga. What you're really saying is it's a debate on whether or not a human has agency over their body or their property. Now, I get it from a strictly legal sense that, yeah, that's a breach of contract. But her consent was predicated on that contract. So if she didn't consent, it's still fucking rape. Now, what's more important to you? Rape or theft? Get the fuck out of here. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? But that happens in that instance, and then you still got, especially the fucking church folk. Oh, you can't rape your wife because her wife's job is to submit. Like, get the fuck out of here. No means fucking no. Ring or no ring. And if that's an issue, divorce her. But that don't mean take the fucking pussy. What the fuck is wrong with you niggas? That's a debate in 2020. You don't think this was happening 40, 50, 60 years ago? When women were still, especially black women, it's crazy with black women, because we've always needed our women to work where they can, because we just don't have the fucking money to do this whole single earner shit. But on top of that, we still expect them to act like it's a single earner and just go along with whatever the man says, because he's the man, regardless if he has a family across town, regardless if he's beating you, regardless of who he's doing, he's supposed to submit to you. And in the good old days, why we don't make shit work like our grandparents did. This is why, because they made it work because you didn't hear about this shit. And she seems to still be fond of him. I don't want to lump this in as the ups and downs of a relationship, but it looks like something they worked through, or maybe she just act like it didn't happen, which is I hate that she had to internalize that, but I'm not gonna knock her for finally getting that off her chest in a space and time that she feels comfortable with. But that's the conversation we should be having, and not why is she bringing that up. Fuck y'all fucking trash, and y'all wonder why we are the way we are. But on to some more lighthearted shit. I saw a tweet where I guess the I don't know, maybe I'll find it. I don't know, my phone's over there. But Shorty basically recalled a story about her encounter with some man where she had met him and they instantly vibed, and then within a few short hours they were taking a shower together, and it was so romantic because he was moisturizing and washing her natural hair and caressing her body and ate the pussy from the back, and then fucked her into a coma, and then they laid up cuddling, talking for over a day, and she never heard from him again. And then she ended it with, he was a Q. To it, y'all can't see me, but y'all can see me. I mean, that sounds like the buzz, but at the same time, and I'm not slut shaming. I'm not. I'm not. Like, live your life. You got one life to live. Y'all were adults. I hope you had protected sex, but whatever. It was a great night. You have a memory for the rest of your life. But at the same time, I caution you, ladies. Like, there's nothing wrong with one night stands. There's nothing wrong as long as you're moving to protect yourself. But that also means protect your expectations. Like, what really did you expect after this popping after a few hours of meeting him? Not even a day, but a few hours. Might want to save at the earliest. I'm not. There's people who married what was supposed to be a one night stand. Like chemistry is chemistry. Love is love. Granted, maybe he didn't feel that way, but perhaps waiting to date two. I don't know. But it was a funny story because I'm glad she got broke off, and I mean, root to the Q. Um, in craziness land, again, the audacity of white people knows no bounds. So Shonda Rhimes, mega, mega, mega content creator, producer extraordinaire. She's got How to Get Away with Murder, Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, just to name a few. She has left ABC, aka Disney, over some bullshit. Actually, being over some bullshit is too kind of a characterization, but it is bullshit. But it's not trivial. It appears the actual straw that broke the camel's back was trivial, but there was a heap of shit going on here. So, for those of you who don't know, she's made over $2.5 billion for ABC, who is owned by Disney over the last decade and a half. Okay, so she is a major, major earner. It seems like everything she touches pops off. People love the Shonda Rhimes, Shonda Lamb brand. Okay, but over the decade or whatever, she's felt creatively stifled. She's had to fight for budgets that she feels as a top producer. It's kind of like what Kanye was going through. With like, I'm Kanye West. Like, I've proven that I work. Give me what I need to make magic happen. But I mean, that's typical. And of course, she's a black woman, so I'm sure that was a lot of it, that she has to constantly ask for things where she shouldn't. But she was still she was making her money. She was content, and she didn't feel a reason to rock the boat. But she wasn't exactly happy there. What actually ended up happening was that her family, part of her compensation package, in addition to her salary, she got benefits to go to Disney resorts. And, she sent her family and like a nanny and 3 children on a trip to Disneyland, but she didn't go. And at some point, Disneyland didn't want to give them passes. So she calls the Disney executive to sort it out, and she was like, "Yo, why can't the passes work? It was my family taking them together." And this motherfucker reportedly told her, "Don't you have enough?" And what? She just politely hung up, called her attorney, and then she joined Netflix in 2017. So that's pretty much why she left ABC/Disney. And then obviously it's easy to be like, wow, that Disney exec fumbled the bag, this, that, and the third. And he did, don't get me wrong. But it speaks to the culture. Like, if you're an executive, you're not new to this. You've dealt with talent. Why do you feel comfortable talking to a black woman like that? Let alone this black woman. That's a culture thing. That's not one rogue exec. We don't even know that exec's name, because if we did, Disney would have been like, "Oh, this motherfucker has been fired, and we apologize to Shonda, and we hope that we can work together in the future." No. This is Disney. It just boggles my mind, but I'm glad that Shonda knew her worth, and Shonda got the bag elsewhere, and Shonda's going to keep being Shonda, and but for every Shonda, like there's way more women who have to grin and bear this type of bullshit, who don't have, I guess, I won't say the wherewithal, because they know what they're doing, but they don't have the leverage or the resources to just up and go. This is everyday struggle for black women. So I'm glad Shonda knew her worth and said enough. And other multimedia fuck shit. So some of y'all may have heard about this correspondent. He was a CNN representative who got caught on a Zoom call pleasuring himself. His name is Jeffrey Toobin. And what happened was he was on a call with some other, you know, media personalities discussing various, political things, and he thought he was leaving the chat because I guess he had to get on another line. He got a call, and who the call was from is up in the air. Might have been one of his shorties. Who knows? But he decided to start choking the chicken. The problem was he did not disconnect from the fucking Zoom call, and his colleagues saw it. So, on the one hand, I mean, come on, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, you gotta be smarter than that. You gotta be quicker than that. And he's on suspension now, but he could lose his career over this shit. Um, and he's obviously humiliated. So even if he doesn't, he gets his job back. I don't know what that's gonna be like being like an on-air personality or an expert and anybody. People this just the workplace people snickering behind this because I don't think he did this to be predatory or anything like that. But I mean, it is what it is. Uh, but on the other, less lubricated hand, I mean, come on, y'all niggas have busted a nut at work before, right? Like, y'all got it in. Let the shots go. Let the chopper sing. Now, whether or not it was with somebody else, a coworker, or your shorty came up to give you a little lunchtime delight or whatever it may be, or maybe you was just stressed the fuck out and you went and beat off. I hope you won't fucking wash your hands. That's why that sign's up there. You nasty ass employees. But the man was also in his house, so then it's like you get too comfortable at home. I mean, I'm not mad at him in a sense. I don't think he's a terrible person or whatever. It's not like he went out and pulled a Pee Wee Herman in a movie theater. But at the same time, come on, man. You gotta be, as somebody who's a media personality, you gotta always pretend the mic is hot. And I don't know. I hope there's some equity in the situation. I won't say he learns his lesson because I'm sure he has. But from what I understand, he was a credible resource to the media, and I guess there's no shortage of them. But who knows? That's just wild. Y'all be careful out here with these camera streets. Streets is watching. Your laptop is watching. In political news, so we had the debate this past weekend, and of course, leading up to the debate, 50 Cent, I guess, threw the internet into a tizzy, which I don't really understand why, because he posted screenshots of the possible tax rate that he and other rich people could be facing in various states under Biden's plan that led up to like 60-something percent, whatever. And he says, nah, vote Trump, vote Trump. First of all, my nigga, can you even vote? Because I'm pretty sure you're a felon. But who knows? Regardless of that, he's campaigning for the people he's campaigning for. You people who don't make $400,000 more to vote for Trump. And on the one hand, this is on brand for 50. I mean, 50 protects his money as much as he can. 50's selfish dude. 50's self-centered. Whether or not he buys into the Kool-Aid of Trump being for black people is ridiculous, redundant. I don't think that's the issue. But I'm sure 50 looks at it as like, they were racist when I'm broke. They were racist when I'm rich. I'm better equipped to deal with them when I have money. And I'm not going to have money if I'm paying these fucking taxes. So maybe that's his rationale. I don't know. But it honestly don't matter to me because it's on brand 50. I don't look for 50 for any kind of moral compass. I mean, the man sued a girl whose nudes were leaked by his mans that he reposted and then he won. And now she got to pay him. And he don't need that money. He's just being fucking petty. So I don't look to 50 for any kind of moral or political discourse or anything like that. He's protecting his money. And that's why I say I understand people who have money who vote for Trump or Republican. It's the poor black people that I call coons who grind my gears. But I'm not mad at him for necessarily wanting Trump to be elected. Campaigning for that man is something totally different, especially since the people that you're campaigning to are not going to benefit from him being elected the way you would. That's trash. But I mean, of all the things that 50 has done is trash, that's the least of my fucking concerns. And if you're listening to 50, you're like, see, equating him to what happened with Ice Cube is different, though, because Ice Cube's actually trying to use his platform in a way that helps the people that he's asking to pay him attention. So you can't equate this with Ice Cube and everything. I don't even look at 50 Cent to be canceled. If y'all going to cancel 50, it wouldn't be over this. You know what I mean? But I don't come to 50 for anything that will require me to cancel him. The only thing that would make me cancel 50 is if he did some rapey shit. Because I have little to no expectations of 50 Cent. I invite you to do the same. But that goes into the debate. You know, the debate happened, and it was a stark contrast from the first debate, where the it was an actual debate. People were actually able to get sentences out. The shouting was at a minimum. You know, questions were for the most part answered by both candidates at a higher rate, a way higher rate than the last time. For the moderator herself, I give her a B because she wasn't afraid to step in there and be like, no, cut it out. But at the same time, Trump still kind of steamrolled her at times. Now, can I really put that on her? No, because Trump is going to Trump. But at the same time, she wasn't scared to check him repeatedly. I didn't really hear any microphone muting, which I thought was probably the main reason why they did shut up for the most part. But then I heard reports that whoever had the ability to mute the microphones wasn't the moderator herself, which I think is stupid. Because I think if the moderator had that button in her hand, there would have been more order up there. But from a strictly debate standpoint, you know, and this is unbiased because, again, I'm no fan of Joe Biden, but I scored it in pure merit of debate as an ass whooping. Biden definitely handed Trump his ass for a lot of the same reasons that Pence did. But I actually think Trump's performance here was better than Pence's performance for the simple fact that he was answering the questions on time. He still committed some of the things that Pence did with talking over his time and then trying to take over the debate and redirecting questions that were not asked by the moderator to Joe Biden. But that's typical Trump. But I think he was more controlled than and on time than than Pence. So I think his debate performance the second time was better than Pence's. But you know, people watch the debate that they want to watch. Everybody said that Pence, or everybody who's voting for the Trump ticket, said that Pence won the last debate. I don't know what debate they were watching. So in the same vein, everybody who watched this one says that Trump won this one because he brought up some shit that was blatant lies. Like, again, you can fact check this shit. But at the same time, I feel like if facts matter to you, there's no way you're undecided to this point. You're not watching this for facts. You're watching this to see, I don't know why, I guess entertainment value or just to stroke your own ego to justify your choice, whatever it may be. But he did do good, and I think Trump is going to benefit from the doing better than last time, which is the same thing that Biden benefits from, just being slightly better than Trump. So whereas that last one was a shit show, this looks like Trump was presidential. So, oh yeah, he's ready, he's winning, he's surging, he's back, he's focused. But it wasn't that great of a debate performance. It was just better than that other shit show. There were plenty of bars where Biden directly spoke to the people. And it's funny, though, is that Trump said that typically he got frustrated because Biden would look into the camera and talk to the American people. And Trump's, typical politician. First of all, the debate is for us. You're asking us to vote for you based on... So, yes, he's talking to us. That's smart. Maybe you should do the same. I'm not a politician. Newsflash, motherfucker, you are now. See, Trump is doing what he's been doing since he's been elected. He's had a constant campaign rally as if he's trying to run the election in 2016 on the platform that I'm not this guy, I'm new, I'm going to shake shit up. But you are now a politician. There's nothing to shake up because you are the system that would be shook up. You are a politician, so you can't play that whole, see, typical politician, he wants to change the subject and talk to the American people. And he's like, no, he answered the question. And then he brought up some other shit and spoke to the American people and tell them why this matters to them. You should probably do the same because you started it. Just that healthcare was a fucking debacle. Like, he said that he wouldn't do anything differently. And let's say, for sake of argument, that Trump did everything he possibly could and we're being unfair to him and everything like that. I wouldn't do anything differently. He was asked, what are you going to do in this next phase? What could you have done differently? He says nothing. And what are you going to do in this next phase? Nothing. Even if that's the answer, you phrase that differently. Like, people who are dying from this, elderly people who he's relying on their vote are hearing that nothing's going to change, nothing. The new phase is different, so you're not going to adapt to it. Even if you were doing so great everything before, which you weren't, you're not going to make any changes to adapt to the changing situation. That's what the American people heard. So, on the issues, this was a shit show for Trump, but people who really give a shit about this aren't on the issues. I heard Joe Biden, and again, whether or not I believe him is irrelevant. I heard him take responsibility for the crime bill. I heard him come out and say it was a mistake, and how he's going to... That's the first step of trying to move forward. You have to recognize where you fucked up. If you don't think you fucked up, you're not going to change. So that, in contrast to Trump saying, I did everything I could, Trump had a line where he was like, they asked him, do you take responsibility? And he said, I do take responsibility. It wasn't my fault. It was like, no, I didn't ground my feet into his couch. Why would I do something like that? I got some sense. Yes, fuck your couch, nigga. Like, that was literally what the fuck he said. And I was just like, and then he had other moments where he was saying, Biden was trying to tell him that, when we did it for immigration, we would do catch and release, and people would show up for their court dates because there was an avenue for them to remain in this country. So it was in their best interest to show up. And then Trump said that the only people who showed up were criminals, which makes no sense. And then two, they never came back. There was less than 1% reported back for court because they were in the wing. You let them go, and then they were in our cities. And then the ones that did show up were, I hate to say it like this, were low IQ. And never mind the fact that he's wrong. Most of those people did show up for their court cases. The vast majority, because they had an avenue to stay in this country. But the fact that he went out and said, now I understand what he was trying to say, that you had to be stupid to come to court because we were going to kick you out. But then that shows Trump's lack of understanding. You need to make up your mind. Catch and release was terrible because the court system would just let them stay illegally, or catch and release was good because the court system would kick them out. But then it was bad because they knew they were going to get kicked out if they went to court, so they wouldn't show up. But if that's the case, we would just kick them out beforehand. We wouldn't have gave them the court. He talks in circles, and he don't even understand what he's saying. But the fact that he said that, he keeps bringing up the cages. Oh, Obama built the cages. My nigga, you used the cages. It's like, whoever built the A-bomb, okay, fine, but you used the A-bomb. So again, anybody who's worried about the facts, this didn't shift anything. Republicans will say that this looked like a better, clear win for Trump. Whatever. I mean, you're entitled to your whatever ass opinion. But if you're undecided at this point, basically, I don't know how you are, left or right. I don't care which way you vote. But if you're undecided, I'm just confused as to what you're waiting on. That tells me that you're either not informed, you don't want to be informed, or you're taking what they're saying at debates at face value, because Joe got fact checked plenty of times. I'm not saying everything Joe says is the truth, but there's blatant lies that don't they don't withstand the muster of just you thinking about how is that possible, let alone going on the internet to fact check it. They come out of the president's mouth. So, I mean, y'all do what y'all want. This is the first time, I want to say in the last two podcasts, I said this is the first time that I get the feeling that Trump will lose, because up until now, I thought he was going to win. But again, we said the same shit 4 years ago. Now, I guess there is encouraging data that in battleground states like Michigan and Florida and Ohio, early voting is at record numbers, like over 500% more in most places. And not only early voting, but they're showing the demographic that typically does not show up to the polls, the 18 to 29-year-olds. But I guess for a real context, we gotta wait to see how many actually still show up on the election, because I'm sure some of those votes were the people who normally just show up on November 3rd. So if the total votes goes up, because there's also still a strong showing in November 3rd, yeah, that's encouraging to see. If it's not, if we just shifted it, then that sets the stage for Trump to get reelected. Now, from this debate, do I think Trump did anything to win any new voters? Absolutely not. Do I think he did what his old voters expected? Yes, but there's also been a shift showing that he's bleeding some support. And Biden talked to the American people. He talked to the American people about immigration. He talked to the American people about, and Trump kept trying to say that Biden's plan for the environment is just a rehashed version of AOC plus that. He shook AOC. That's the hilarious part. But the Green New Deal, and Biden said multiple times, is not that. There are elements of it that overlap, but it's not that. So, and he said, y'all talking about plans, but what are you going to say to the person who's working outside these towns where these factories and oil refineries are, who have cancer because you're not regulating them? And Trump was like, oh, they got good jobs, so what are they worried about? So, yeah, I mean, Trump did that to himself. But anybody who's got to suck his dick or, hype him up is going to say he won that debate. On sheer merits of debate, I don't see it. And on the issues, I'm going to leave the issues to y'all. Y'all got to decide what y'all want to do. But that happened. I think I ended up scoring it like 26 to 8 or something like that. And that's me ignoring the loss of points on Trump for breaking protocol and everything like that. I guess the thing that stood out to me most is that Joe Biden said on TV that he talked about the talk that black people have with their kids. that he never had to have with his daughter, and he wouldn't even think to even have to have with his daughter, and he would have it now. She's white, and she's a privilege, and that's not right, And he cited the preamble to the Declaration of the Independence and how this country has never lived up to the statement that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Again, could be lip service, but he said what he needed to say, and I think that resonated with a lot of black voters who, because that's what he needs to do. He needs to say, yes, stop hiding from the 94 Trump bill. We fucked up, and I get that. If it's gonna work, I guess we'll see. But at least he said it. Yeah. So we do have a guest for the podcast this time, and it's a little different format. Those of you watching this right now on YouTube probably missed the live cast. It was the first live cast ever. So what I'm going to do is chop this video and insert the video from the live cast where you can see me interviewing my guest, Miss Obi Mwawe. She is a first-generation Nigerian. Her father is from Nigeria, and he's a Howard lawyer, Howard University law educated lawyer who has since passed on, I believe. But that's her background, and she's been covering what's been going on in Nigeria, specifically with SARS, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, who has been brutalizing, raping, murdering citizens in Nigeria. And at face value, that seems exactly like what we're going on here, and in a lot of ways there are overlapping themes, but it's a lot deeper than just specific police brutality, and we're going to go into that on a deep dive. I hope you guys stay tuned to watch it. What I'm also going to attempt to do is rip some video of what happened at the toll road in Nigeria, where the Nigerian army, so not the police, the Nigerian army fired upon unarmed protesters of the police violence, killing at least 78 of them. And these are kids, man. They're 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, being shot with actual assault rifles and dying. And not just dying, but they're dying like fucking G's, draped in their Nigerian flag with no tears, proud to have bled for their freedom because the government isn't for them. It's heartbreaking. If I can get it on there, you'll see a trigger warning before there. Please absolutely watch the live cast so that you know what's going on with SARS and what you can do. And we need to keep this at the forefront, because nothing is going to change there without international pressure on that government. And if Black Lives Matter, they have to matter everywhere. So again, thank you guys for coming through, controlling your experience. Stay tuned for the live cast, and yeah, we'll go from there. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the first inaugural Control Your Experience live cast. I'm fiddling around with this new software and being guided through it by my co-host here for this show, Miss Obi Mwawe. I apologize if I butchered that, but she's here to give us some perspective on what exactly is going on in Nigeria. Some of you may have heard I won't say the hashtag, but the slogan EndSARS. Might not exactly know what that is. So we definitely want to, at the end of this show, leave you with a firm understanding of exactly what is going on, not only in the present day, but what led to it, the context, the implications, and I guess what we can do to help, starting with raising awareness, which is why we're here. If you are watching this on my YouTube, this is no longer live, so welcome you from the other shenanigans we were talking about. But if you are live, thank you for showing up. Obi, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hey, everybody. My name is Obi Mwawe, and I am a producer, a reporter, and I have an online news platform called The News with Obi, where I talk about all things politics happening in our local community and around the world. And I am first generation Nigerian American. I grew up between Nigeria and Washington, D.C., so I have an understanding. I currently live in New York, though, but I do have an understanding of what's going on in Nigeria. I have most of my family still in Nigeria.
What part of Nigeria?
I am from the southeast of Nigeria. I'm Igbo.
Okay. Is that how that works? Is it the tribal? Is it more of a geographical area, or is it like you'll find Igbo all over the country, you'll find Yoruba all over the country?
I mean, because they've migrated to different parts of the country, but mostly the Igbos are the southeast of the country. Yoruba is like the west, and then you have the north of the country, which is mostly the people that run the country.
Okay. Yeah, so most of us who are not Nigerian, we know Lagos, and that's about it. That's on the western side, I believe, like close to the coast.
That Lagos is on the western side of the country.
Okay, so that was mostly a Yoruba.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Cool. Well,
And
again,
if anybody is Nigerian also, I am no historian and I'm no expert. Please chime in, fact check me. Get in the chat room and introduce yourself.
I will do my best to look at the comments as they come through. And if I don't know, I'll definitely you can see the comments, right?
I can't see them.
Okay, cool. So yeah, feel free to stop me. Just put your hand up if you want to answer one of their questions or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of near and dear to my heart because other than the fact that I firmly believe that Black life matters not only in America but anywhere that there is Black life, my best friends ever since middle school, but definitely through high school, were all African. And the preponderance, in the DMV, we have a healthy Nigerian population. My best friends were twins, or are twins, and I did, but are twins from Nigeria. Their mom is Ghanaian, I believe, and their dad's Nigerian, or I might have had that flip flop. I learned from them that twins in Nigeria are all named Taiwo and Kehinde, regardless of if it's like boys or girls. And I forgot what it actually meant. I think like one means first and second. And
that's Yoruba. I don't speak Yoruba fluently.
Okay. And there's like a whole story behind that. And then just all of my friends. So growing up trying to get their parents to warm up to me as the bad American influence, that was interesting. But I wouldn't trade that for the world. And then just I'm not gonna lie, I feel kind of ashamed that I was late to this party because when I heard EndSARS, I'm like, they still have the virus over there?
Right. Everybody thinks it's still the SARS virus, right?
That might have been like a month ago. I think would have been the first time I heard it, but I didn't even think to go click in it because whatever. And then it wasn't until I started seeing the hashtags, I'm like, wow, this must be getting really out of hand. And then you go click on one and it was nothing about the SARS virus.
Right.
I'm going to give you just my base understanding, and then I'll let you jump in with what it is. Tell me where I'm wrong, where I have it wrong.
Okay.
So the first thing that really made me look at it was the report of the shooting where many people lost their lives, and they were EndSARS. And I was like, wait, in one day that, and then they were talking about bloody this. I'm like, okay, this is not a virus. I clicked on it, and what it sounded like is that there is a unit of police that are in Nigeria called the Special
Anti-Robbery Squad.
Anti-Robbery Squad. And they had been brutalizing Nigerian citizens, and not just like beating them, but like murdering them, raping them, and ultimately robbing them. From what I understand, that this task force was created in the early 90s. I want to say 92 or 94. One of those dates.
It's actually 84. Some say 92.
Okay.
It's a lot longer than that.
But it's been decades. And the first thing I thought of, probably why I grabbed 94, was Rodney King. And I'm like, wow, they've been dealing with their same police brutality nonsense that we have for the longest time. But that's still just a cursory level of what's actually going on here. Yes, you have authority figures, police, whatever they may be, who are abusing their authority to, for the most part, just extract money, but obviously to take advantage of women to feel empowered or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go look at it, this is much like what's going on in America, where the symptoms of police brutality are indicative of the disease of bad governance.
Yeah.
But at least in America, it's more so along racial lines and financial lines, where there's not necessarily a caste system in America, but you definitely have the haves and have-nots. And within the haves, you have the upper 1% and everybody else.
Right.
Where it gets crazy, at least in my estimation, in Nigeria, is that you have police forces that there's no one section of the country that is safe from this. Not only, obviously, if you look like you have money, you are an easy target for people, which is what I understood to be happening. My Nigerian friends used to always tell me that when they go home, they have to over here we say tuck your chain and everything, but over there they have to just look modest. They don't wear Jordans. They don't do anything that makes it look like they have been to America or that they have money, because you'll just be trying to go about your business and it'll be a traffic stop and they'll ask you, do you have anything for the boys?
Right.
I'm like, okay, my mom is Salvadoran and I've been to El Salvador, so I know all about like the local cops just, trying to get because they think you're American. That's what I thought it was. But
Mm-hmm.
from what I understand, it's way worse. That's a good encounter. What actually happens is they have people in vans roaming the streets,
Mm-hmm.
grabbing up anybody who looks like they might have money, not a lot of money, not necessarily more money than them, but just money that they don't have and they want.
Yeah.
And if you try to look at this objectively and from the lowest common or the lowest compatible factor before you get into the larger implications of it, you could say, well, maybe this was just like any other police force where this was a very necessary unit that was formed. It's got some bad apples in there, and they need to be weeded out. At least that's how the common line they try to give us in America, that it's not a cultural thing. It's a few bad elements in the group and everything like that. But when you go and look at it, that it's literally any and everybody in this squad is feared, and it happens all over the country, not just in Lagos or any of the urban centers. You could be out in the rural parts of Nigeria. It doesn't matter what tribe you're in. You are subject to this.
Yeah.
And that goes back to years and years and years of bad governance. What do we mean by that?
Right.
The people.
So, I mean, Nigeria has, before SARS was created, Nigeria did have a police harassment problem, but it wasn't as prominent as it is right now with SARS. Like you mentioned earlier, SARS was created in 84, some say 92, but it's the Special Anti-Robbery Squad of Nigeria, which that police department was created to perform undercover operations against armed robbery or any crimes associated with firearms or even kidnapping. But like you said, over the years, SARS has gotten really out of hand, and they've illegally harassed people, raped, killed. Nigeria currently does not have a database, a police database. If your loved one is arrested, you might not know where to find them.
They're just lost in the sauce. They're literally.
Yeah, there are people that have been picked up by SARS for a year or two, and nobody knows where they are. And this particular movement, and don't get me wrong, Nigerians have been protesting police brutality, but this time around, it picked up momentum because on October 3rd, a few weeks ago, a young man by the name Joshua Ambrose was arrested by SARS and later on thrown out of a moving vehicle.
And that's the one that made me look. I'm like, viruses don't kick people out of moving vehicles. Like what? And I hate myself for thinking that, because I thoroughly just pushed it to and that might be conditioning where I just thought, oh, the disease is still running through Africa like that, and that's terrible. But it's just like,
and unfortunately, that's how most people view Africa.
yeah. And I know better. I absolutely know better. But I just figured like the acronym was just, it didn't make me even look back into it. It wasn't until the young man got tossed out of the vehicle that I said, oh, I need to read up about that. And then no sooner had I said that, the videos broke on Instagram about the peaceful protesters being fired upon.
Right. So peaceful protests have been going on in Nigeria for the past 2 weeks. I mean, they were even bragging about how the protests were so peaceful that there were no looting, there was no vandalization going on. And I'm like, yeah, I'm proud of my people. Y'all got to speak up. This is the time. But and those 2 weeks, the president of Nigeria did not come out to say anything. And the protests were so organized. I believe I'm under the understanding that there were a group of 10 women, 10 feminists that funded, especially the ones in Lagos, that actually made sure, because if you look at some of those initial videos, they were being fed, there was water, they were marching. Even at one point, there's a major highway in Lagos called the Lagos-Benin Highway that the youth shut down, and they were cooking in the middle of the street. They're like, we're hungry, but we're not leaving. They got
shout out to our sisters and shout out to the resourcefulness. And that should point out to you, because a lot of the criticism for the Black Lives Matter movement in America by, for lack of a better word, hoteps, you know what I mean, is that, oh, the women are running it, so it can't be for us. They have their own agenda. And then, of course, the women at the forefront of BLM are members of the LGBTQ community. So it looks at them like, oh, they have an agenda. And then they say it's, funded by rich white people trying to all kinds of nonsense,
Yeah.
But the common denominator is that wherever our struggle is, our women are in the streets.
Oh yeah.
Getting it done.
Oh
So
yeah.
shout out sisters. I want that to be. It has to be highlighted.
It
I
has
didn't mean
to
to
be
cut you off.
highlighted. So yeah, so these women were making sure that the protesters are being fed. I'm talking about these protesters are your Gen Zers, So they and you were talking about right now they believe that they have nothing to lose. We're talking about young Nigerians that will go to school for a semester and they won't go to school for another year and a half, only because the teachers are not being paid. They go on strikes because they're not being paid. So there's a lot, and SARS is a catalyst to a whole bunch of other things that's wrong with Nigeria. Nigeria, for instance, we all know is the most populated Black country in the world. We have 250 ethnicities and with over 500 languages, but of course, English is the main language. Now, the colonizers did not put any of this into consideration when they lumped us all together as one Nigeria for their own benefit.
Oh, just like in America, you ask a Native American, they're all Indians, you know what I mean? But you have so many tribes that were just in the Iroquois Nation that were now the current 13 colonies, the first 13 colony states are. So that's just part of the course. Anywhere that there's a colonizer, they redraw their maps based on who wants this mountain, who wants this beachfront. Damn, who lives there?
I see my friend Efua is in the chat. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
So, like I was saying, they did not, and people wonder why the ethnic groups in Nigeria don't get along. Believe it or not, with this EndSARS movement, some people are trying to say it's dividing us. It's not. We have not seen a protest of this magnitude in Nigeria in a long time.
That's
right?
good to hear.
And for this is the most together Nigeria has been, despite having always having chaos with these different ethnicities. And now, depending on who you ask, some people will say the EndSARS issue only affects, let's say, your Yorubas and your Igbos and other ethnicities, but the Northerners, which are majority the Muslims of the country and majority of the people in office that recycle being in office, that it doesn't affect them, that they go about their everyday lives and nobody bothers them like SARS will bother the rest of the people in the country.
Right.
The current president right now, Muhammadu Buhari, is a Northerner. He's Muslim, and his first time in office, this is his second time being in office, mind you. His first time in office was from 1983 to 1985. And he got in office based on a coup, right? Mm-hmm. The same reasons that he threw a coup to overthrow a democratic president are the same issues that we're having now that he's president again.
So the prior guy was democratically elected. He was being viewed as being failed, I guess, the country. Yeah. So then the current president, was he even in the military prior, or was he another politician?
He wasn't in the military. He wasn't in the military. He was a retired military general, and he threw a coup that overthrew the president. This was back in 1983.
Right. But he's not considered a Democrat. I mean, not a Democrat. He's not considered a dictator right now.
No.
Okay.
Although he acts like one.
Right.
But and Nigeria is only 60 years old. We have people in office. The president is in his 80s. We have people older than the country.
Wow.
What does that tell you? That tells you that a lot
I never thought of that.
Right. That tells you that a lot of things about how they are handling Nigeria is backwards. What the youth are asking for in Nigeria is to stop killing us. I have cousins, relatives that, SARS always pulls over. In Nigeria, before my dad passed in Nigeria, my dad was an attorney. The reason that we didn't really get harassed was because my dad was a no bullshit attorney from Howard. They're like, yo, no, listen, you're not going to harass people. Like,
shout out Howard University.
HU. So, a lot of people are dealing with this. You can have a laptop and a SARS person will say, oh, you look nice. You have a laptop. You don't look like you can afford it.
I
At
heard of the
gunpoint,
iPhones when the iPhones came out. Like,
iPhone, yeah.
iPhone, you would have an iPhone here that's maybe 2 iPhones behind, but you go
Yeah.
over to Nigeria and they think you are
You
it.
think
Like,
you're balling. They think you're balling, and they'll make you go to the ATM and withdraw your money and hand it over to them. So it's really gotten out of hand, and Nigerians are saying enough is enough. Nigeria is a country of 200 million people, and you have a lot of these people not being able to find work after graduating college. People that are working are not being paid. The Nigerian president actually came and gave a speech yesterday, and he did not mention the shooting that happened at Lekki Tollgate. Lekki Tollgate is like a main tollgate in Lagos,
okay.
very busy. And before that shooting happened,
And it's a bridge or something?
it's not a bridge, it's like a tollgate, but it's huge, and it's like epicenter, I would want to say, for a
Okay.
lot of things, right? So well, I don't know if you know this, but sometimes in Nigeria, the electricity might go off for a
Yeah, I
few.
heard about that. They were cutting off the power to
Right, but Lekki Tollgate always has power. It never goes
it
off.
can't shut down. So it's all is there like their NYC, I guess, or their I don't know how but
I guess so. I guess you
Yeah.
I guess you could say that. But on that particular night, on October 20th, with the protesters on ground, this was after 2 weeks. I guess they were trying to figure out the way to disperse the crowd, and that was the fastest thing they could think about. They shut off the electricity, shut off the CCTV, and the military started shooting.
And that's what made it realer. I won't say real, but realer to me.
Yeah.
Because when I heard a death toll, 78 people had died, and I just thought, oh wow, these police. I just your brain tries to rationalize it to the lowest level of atrocity until somebody puts context on it. So when I heard 78, I was like, wow, the police have killed 78 people in a year. No, this was 78 people in a day, and it wasn't the police; it was the military.
And we're talking about armored military that's not supposed to be used anywhere. Like,
so
besides
we parallel that to what Trump did with the church, and all he did was have them mason. So the equivalent of that would be, you've got protesters who are literally protesting police violence, and then the head of state authorized the active military whose job is to fight off invaders, aliens, whatever the movie calls for, to fire on unarmed, and they're unarmed because even if you want to play the here we get the conservative think tank, oh, they weren't being nonviolent. Nigeria does not allow private ownership of firearms.
No.
So
you can own a firearm, but it's not like it's
right.
legal. You know what I mean?
And not to say that criminals don't have guns, because that by definition makes them criminals. But those criminals are not the ones protesting in the street. So everyone there wouldn't know even where to find a gun, let alone be able to get one. You know what I mean?
Right. And these are like young people that don't have jobs, that could barely figure out what's going to happen the next day,
but are still looked at as targets,
right,
by the SARS squad or SARS.
Right. So I mean, I got an article, and the friend that sent it to me, we got into an argument because of this, because he's saying that nobody was killed at the Lekki Tollgate. He's saying that the article, now this is the Nigerian government trying to do damage control.
Right, absolutely.
They're saying that the military was shooting in the air. Okay, so you shoot in the air. Don't you know that when those bullets come down, they can hit people?
Absolutely, because this is a populated area, right? This isn't just like a highway. This is a populated area.
Densely populated, where masses of people were out protesting peacefully.
Right. So even if none of the protesters got hit, people out in their yard, people doing laundry, whatever it may be, could have got hit with these bullets.
And why are we even justifying shooting peaceful protesters? To
be clear, this is bullshit. It's bullshit, but
right. So now the Nigerian government, even a well-known DJ in Nigeria called DJ Switch, she went live when all of this was happening.
DJ Switch, okay.
Yeah, DJ Switch. She went live when all of this was happening. Her life since the day this happened that she went live. Her life has been threatened. People have been like really trying to protect her because she went
She has
live.
a platform, and she has a
Yeah, because
platform.
she has a huge platform. And she has another video that I saw today where they picked up bullet shells to show as evidence that they were being shot at. She had a bullet that got pulled out of somebody.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen the pictures. Like I told, and we'll get into. I'm not gonna post them, but I talked to two people. Like I said, I got lucky. I'm in a couple of other groups where before I knew I wanted to make a video about this, but I said all I can do is at best, if I'm doing my due diligence, pay attention to some media articles, and I'm still hearing it second and third hand from somebody else. Let me talk to Africans who not only might be there right now, but have family members telling them it's not going through a media source and everything like that. And I got exactly what I asked for, because the pictures that were sent to me of kids, man, like 17, 18, 19-year-old kids with and I'm a gun guy, and I hunt. So when I look at these wounds, I know exactly what that is. You've got kids like who are literally leaking out of their chest and composing their last words, saying that don't cry for me. I died because
they were dying singing the Nigerian's national anthem.
Insane.
Crazy. They were dying holding the Nigerian flag in their hand. They were dying saying, at least I died for a cause. Like I had chills. I cried on my Instagram the day this happened. I have never, these are the kind of stories that my dad would tell me that happened during the Biafran War.
Civil wars. And it's kind of like what's going on right now, where on a different level, because at the base it's the same thing, but the I guess factors that lead to it are different. But at the same time, if you had told me at 10 years old that I would be 35 in 2020 looking around and it's practically 1968 outside, except everybody's got camera phones, I wouldn't believe this shit.
Right.
But this is insane. Like, it is utterly insane. And then again, I try to rationalize it. Well, and again, maybe the order of way I did it is a symptom of me living here too, being from here. You try to, is this tribal? Because that's how our media tries to paint everything that's wrong in Africa. It's either tribal, or because there's famine and disease everywhere, or because the government's corrupt and you've got.
Well, let me tell you this. The media in America, just trying to paint the African story as if it's tribal or if it's religion. Quite honestly, it's not even the media trying to paint that. This is the Nigerian government trying to instigate. Okay, so you know how right now in Nigeria there's looting going on. With every protest that you have, there's going to be people that are there to protest. There's going to be people that are there to loot, right? So now Nigeria is in that looting phase. And quite honestly, it's the Nigerian government that paid thugs to infiltrate with the protesters to start looting and causing trouble.
Where have we seen that before?
Down. Exactly.
Now this is crazy.
This is a replay, right?
There's a playbook. There's like a playbook for the institution, the powers that be. And not trying to get on the Illuminati shit, nothing like that. I'm talking about whoever actually tangibly has power. They don't have to imagine how to destabilize, because the playbook has been laid out for them.
Yep. Right. So it's like when they talk about, in Nigeria is a tribal issue, it's a religion issue. That's the government again. All you got to say to a Muslim is that Christian over there, they peed in front of the mosque. That's it. That's enough for trouble to break out.
Yeah.
Or that Christian over there, they burned the Quran. That's
or they drew a cartoon of Muhammad or
right. So when they talk things like this, they instigate problem, and by the time you know it, hundreds of people are dead.
And then they come in like, we had to establish order and do all this.
So this discombobulates the people, and they chill out again. They chill out and become docile like they want them to. But this time around with the EndSARS movement in Nigeria, these kids, oh my God, I'm praying for them.
Shout out Gen Z. It's the same thing here.
You need to see videos of Nigerians these kids shouting, go fit kill us all. Go fit kill us all. You kill one person, go fit kill everybody. Meaning you can't kill, like, you can shoot at one person, but we coming strong.
Which
You
is
know? So and like I posted on my Facebook and Instagram, like if Nigeria misses this opportunity, it's game over for Nigeria.
somebody sent me one of the guys I was talking to sent me DJ Switch's video of the Lekki Tollgate onslaught. So
Yep. So check.
I might share it to my YouTube. I'm not gonna try and do it now with the live and everything like that.
Yeah.
I want to put like a parental or like a trigger warning or something like that.
Right.
But,
Right. So you know, it's amazing that the fact that we have camera phones, that's the only reason why we know what's going on.
right,
And
propaganda used to belong to whoever owned the press.
exactly.
And when I say own the press, I mean literally own printing press, literally owned the television networks. That's why anytime that there is a dictator, anytime that there is a communist or socialist that is in totalitarian control, the first thing they do is obviously take the media, then they take not the media, they take the military, then they take the press because they control the narrative.
Right.
But now it's a little harder to do because everybody
being televised.
Right.
You know. So I mean, yes, the Nigerian president came out 3 days after the protest and said, yes, SARS has ended, but we're gonna start SWAT. And the protesters
it's the same shit. It's the same shit. It's just a different name.
So you taking the same people from SARS and putting them in SWAT. They said, no, we're not having that. We need all of it disbanded. You know, first of all, I don't know if you know this, but the people in the House and the Senate in Nigeria make 5 times the salary of the President of the United States.
The members of the equivalent of the Nigerian Congress each make 5 times more than Donald Trump.
They make a lot of money.
And okay, so I want to break that down for people who may not understanding that. The last I checked, and this was back when Obama was president, only because, you know, a lot of people try to accuse him
and
of
somebody get in the thing and fact check me on that. But from what I understand, they make, if not more than the President of the United States.
Yeah, we'll run with that. But just for people for context, when Obama was in office, there was the knock that he took too many vacations and this and the third. Hearing that now in 2020 and looking back, that's laughable. But that was literally a narrative.
Right.
And then there was that, oh, what's he doing on the taxpayer dollar? And then the figure came up. It was anywhere from $200,000 to $220,000 was the salary of the President of the United States, which honestly, that seems a little low to me. But on the flip side, it makes sense that you don't want your chief executive in there for the taxpayer money and not getting anything done. You can live comfortably on $200,000. And for what I also understand, that he lives in the White House, but it's practically taken out of his benefits. So he might as well be paying rent. That's his house, but he's paying rent there.
Right.
So if you take $200,000 times 5, that means each individual representative is making upwards of $1 million.
Yep.
Nobody in our Congress, and our Congress is overpaid. The American Congress, and this is with American dollars, is overpaid.
Right.
Nobody in our Congress makes $1 million. Nobody in our Congress makes, I think, the highest paid senators, and it goes, you know, it's kind of like government pay scale, so it goes up by time served. And I think it caps at some point, but I want to say the highest paid senator is barely 200,000. Don't somebody fact check me on that. The point is, it's nowhere near $1 million. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you figure, and let me ask you this, because I know Nigeria is an oil-rich nation, and I know that that's a issue along the coast where you have piracy and people attacking the refineries. Do the members of the congressional body or whatever the governing body, do they have interests or direct stipends or anything like that related to the oil industry? Like, is that what fuels it, or do they just take it off the top of the country's economy?
Well, despite the oil that we have in Nigeria, believe it or not, Nigeria doesn't have any refineries. We actually export the oil.
Just like America.
Export the oil, re-import it back into the country at a much higher price.
From the Saudis or from whoever.
Right. How does that even make sense?
Well, that's what happens in America. America has the 3rd largest oil reserves, but you would never know that from all the oil crisis we've been going through. But the thing is, you can get the oil out the ground. It don't mean anything until it's refined. That's why the Arabian Peninsula, the OPEC are able to set the price on barrels. And that's why a little place called the Suez Canal. So that little stretch in between, where the Middle East is.
Right.
No coincidence that thousands of years of crusades kind of died out and then slowly reignited again. Once the internal combustion engine, whatever. Anyway,
So
point
they
is,
all have interest.
right.
That's how they make their money. They all have
That's just insane to me. We as Americans, with the American dollar, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know what the conversion rate is, but an American dollar, if you were to go to Nigeria, gets you way more Nigerian dollars than if you were to take a Nigerian dollar to come here, correct?
Yeah, the exchange rate is a lot higher.
Okay.
I sent money to Nigeria this morning, and I know how much that converted to, and it was only $170. So I know how much.
But that's going to go a lot further in Nigeria than it would here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to go a lot further. But back in the day, when my dad attended Howard University, his tuition, this was back in the 70s, early 80s, his tuition was paid from Nigeria because the Nigerian currency was stronger than dollars.
Because of the oil.
Because of the oil. But our government mismanaged everything.
Right. And is the influx of Chinese influence in the African continent, how is that manifesting in Nigeria specifically?
It's manifesting. Nigerians do not want the Chinese there because they see what they're doing in like Kenya.
Okay.
But it's not as prominent yet in Nigeria as it is, because I remember during COVID, Nigeria has a lot of very well trained doctors.
Okay.
And the Nigerian president, instead of utilizing the doctors he had, he went and brought 15 or 17 doctors from China. The Nigerian board of doctors said, "Nah, we're not having that. They got to go."
So he tried to put them in like key medical positions, like
key medical positions, and pay them. You have people on ground that are well qualified. Why are you bringing them from China? They don't. Let me stop.
Right. No. And we already know what that is. That's the Chinese government trying to levy power, control, and kickback.
Right.
So with that, there is wealth in Nigeria, just like there's wealth in almost every African country that is either being mismanaged.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it might be mismanaged because of a lack of infrastructure to adequately transfer the wealth of the nation to the people, or more than likely, there's corruption and greed and everything like that. And then you have in the external factors of you've got nations like China trying to, because they are resource poor but manufacturer infrastructure rich, so it's basically modern colonization without the armies and everything. They come to Africa, they say, "Hey, let me I'll give you all this money to enrich your stuff, but now I own most of your economy." You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Right. And so that's the reason why Nigeria doesn't want China there, because with Kenya, I believe, if Kenya does not try to pay China back, they are going to take over China. So Nigeria's like, we see what's going on over there. We're not coming. You're not coming to come and own us like that.
Right.
And honestly, the problem with Nigeria predates the days of my father, predates the way before him. This is all what the colonization of the British did.
It's going back from even at any time in African nature finds any kind of stability or normalcy, one of two things happens. Yes, there might be some kind of tribal faction or anything, or a coup, but rarely does that ever just come out of nowhere. One of the main powers, us, CIA, whoever, had an interest there, much like China does now, where, hey, we want some of your oil, we want some of this, whatever. We want a presence here because this puts us militarily within stone's throw with somebody else who we don't like. So I'll give you these weapons, I'll give you this medicine, I'll give you these clothes, food, whatever, if you're friendly for it. And then once that person either accepts it, you're in bed with them, they own you, or two, if they balk at it because they say, "Nah, I know what this is," somebody comes in the night, assassinates them, makes it look like this other faction did it, another civil war, and now they try it again. We've seen this in Iran, we've seen this in Nicaragua, we've seen this anywhere our CIA goes.
What's happening in Nigeria is not happening in isolation. We all know that. It's been decades of the same thing. For instance, Nigeria turned 60 on October 1st of this year, and Queen Elizabeth, all she did was congratulate Nigeria on the relationship they have with the British. Oh, Queen, that's all you're going to say? That's really all you're going to say, sis?
Thank you for... Wait,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome that we take you seriously.
Excuse you.
Yeah. It's an accomplishment that you let us that we take you seriously. What the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's typical. That's white people whiting.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question because and then we'll get back to specifically SARS in Nigeria. But you mentioned that like none of the political things, none of the things that lead to the climate or the abuse or mismanagement of resources, or even the fact that we have a president. How long has this president been serving in Nigeria?
He got into office, I want to say 2 years ago. The next, or maybe last year.
And
Anyway,
elections are every 2 or 4 years.
4.
Okay, so every 4 years. So this is a newer president, but he could very well decide he don't want to go because you said he ran a coup to take over. So he has military support.
He ran a coup back in '83.
Oh, okay.
So, right. So
he hasn't been in power since '83. He ran the coup in '83.
He ran the coup and he became the president from '83 to '85.
And then somebody else took it, and now he's back.
And now he's back. He's been trying for years to come back. So when he was the president back in '83, it was under military rule.
Okay.
Now Nigeria is a democratic country.
Right.
And he's back again. He made all these promises. But first of all, we cannot keep recycling these people older than the country.
It's the same politics.
It's the same politics.
And then let me ask you a question. So when he got elected this last time, was there any debate of whether or not the election was legitimate?
At first they were saying, yeah, I mean, they were saying it was legitimate. It wasn't like one of those. A lot of people really thought that he was going to be a good fit.
So people voted for him in good faith. There wasn't like he stole the election
no, not this time. But he has not done that one thing.
Right. And whether or not he's done a good job is you see what we're dealing with. But okay. So my question is, the name of the beast right now that we're talking about in Nigeria is SARS or SWAT, whatever they're trying to change it to.
Right.
Is this same thing manifesting in either neighboring or other African nations around the country where you have a hit squad basically that can do whatever they want? Because when I first realized what this was, the first things that came to mind were what's going on in the Philippines with Duterte, where I don't know if you're familiar, but they've decided that narcotics are a very major issue there. So much so that there's a squad. I don't know if it's a specific squad within the police, but I do know that the police are so empowered to be judge, jury, and executioner in the street. Mm-hmm. Whereas if they suspect that you are related to drugs, whether or not it's using, selling, or trafficking, they can literally kill you in the street, and they don't even have to like pick your body up. They'll leave you right then and there, and they don't even have to justify it. They could just say that somebody told them that, or I saw you that, and that's the end of it. Yeah. I told you my mom is from El Salvador, and El Salvador just got a new president who's a very, very young guy that they are very optimistic about, and I'm surprised he's still alive because, the MS-13 is big down there, and I'm surprised they haven't taken him out. But knock on wood, he's still in there doing good things. But it's heavy-handed. Like I think that's part of the reason why he got there, because he's trying to pull it back. At least that's what he says. But when my uncle goes to go visit my grandfather, there's a part. They live in a rural part of El Salvador, and he's driving, and then he got out for some reason because something was blocking the road. He gets out, there's bodies in the grass, and he couldn't understand what happened. They were clearly shot, and then you look up, it's because the police force is grabbing anybody who they think, or in the most legitimate sense, and it's not legitimate, but in the most legitimate sense, if you're suspected of being part of MS-13 or any other gang, any kind of drugs, they don't have to take you in. They will take you to the top of this hill. They'll shoot you and they'll throw you in. They were rolling down and they were ending up there. It's just common knowledge.
Wow.
That's insane. And these are police. These aren't people with hoods in the night and everything. They're just doing this, and then going about their day. So I say all that to say absolute power obviously corrupts absolutely. You could start out altruistic in your goals, believe in the law, but when there's nobody there to check you, when you're not there to check yourself, when you don't even know what that means anymore, you're going to see it, which is how I tried to rationalize SARS. But it became quickly apparent to me that, there's the whole abuse of power. But even if there wasn't, the reason why you have police doing this is because they are broke too. Everybody in this country is broke.
Yeah, I was going to get to that because the police, people that are in the police, the policemen and women, they could barely feed their family, on their little salary, and see, that's another thing. And that's the reason why my uncle took I'm gonna give you an example. My uncle took his two kids to Nigeria last year, and they're probably 8 or 9, and people were asking them what's the difference between the police in Nigeria and the police in America, and these little kids said, all the police in Nigeria, they're beggars. They're always begging for money. It's like they pull you over and they have their hands open.
That's what I heard. The girl said, "Do you have anything for the boys?" That's just a common.
Yeah.
And then I forgot what the word is because my homegirl PJ, well, her name's Peju, but she's from Nigeria, and she can code switch with the best of them. She's an attorney, Duke educated, and everything like that. Shout out PJ if you watch it. But she goes to Nigeria, and because she's like, I don't hide. They know I'm they think I'm a foreigner because I have on Americanized clothes. I'll wear African clothes, but it's just the air about me. They can tell that I come from somewhere.
Yeah.
They say stuff to me. I forgot what the word is, but it's basically their version of gringo, or you know what I mean, for like who's not from there. And then she'll speak back to them in their language, and they'll be like, "How do you know that?" I'm like, "I'm from here, asshole." Like, I get off my face. So that's what I thought it was. I thought this was just you've got broke cops trying to get over. But again, that lends to the narrative that there's just a few bad apples. No, this is a systemic thing.
This is a systemic thing that needs to change from the bottom. There's a lot that needs to change with Nigeria in terms of, okay, yeah, we're starting with SARS. How about we get the senators to come out and say, okay, we're gonna take less from our salary so that other people can get paid, or we're going to start paying the police department, paying them a lot more so they're not out in the streets harassing you for money. Or even, like, I don't know if you saw the video of where there are quite a few videos roaming around now of COVID-19 relief food that was
they're hoarding it in the warehouses, correct? They're not letting it
in the warehouses.
And we saw this in Mogadishu, right around anybody who's seen Black Hawk Down or watched any of the documentaries and everything. You had Muhammad Farah Aidid was the warlord in Somalia at the time. So you had the UN and NATO dropping off, all kinds of relief and everything, but the warlords were taking it and hoarding it, not only for their troops, but even if their troops were well fed, they were not giving it out because the quickest way to force compliance is to starve people. You know what I mean? Like so. But that's a warlord. You rationalize that as the government is doing this?
Yeah, they had literally those bags of and we're talking about warehouses of food that can go around to entire states for.
Are these perishables? Or is it like rice?
Yeah, rice, perishables. Thankfully, none of it has gone expired yet. But the fact that I know how much I've sent home this whole COVID thing because people couldn't work and people couldn't eat. I know how much I've sent home.
Are they seizing the wire transfers? Are they? Because I know
they're not seizing it. But the fact that they had those food items stashed away instead of giving it to the people. The reason they do stuff like that is because after COVID is done, they'll try to resell it to the people that it was supposed to be for free, or
make money.
Make money, or when they start campaigning, they will use that.
We'll give you food. Vote for me.
There you go.
It's all about leverage. It's all about leverage. That's insane. Then for this to be happening from the sitting government, not a warlord trying to take over, not a criminal organization, who the sitting government is doing this. The members who are fighting for election.
Yeah.
That's
are the ones doing this. So
insane.
2020 all over the world is exposing a lot of things and a lot of people. So Nigeria right now is on the verge of change, and I really hope that they don't give up. We need to figure out a way forward. We need to, first of all, the protesters need to find out who these thugs are and have a talk with them, and not let the government keep brainwashing them and paying them.
Let's get into who the SARS member are in a second. Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever physically either laid eyes on a SARS member or had an interaction with one, when you go visit or anything like that?
I mean, yeah, when I go visit, police they pull us over, and when they do pull us over, the first thing they tell me is, because they know my dad, before my dad passed, he would say, "I really don't want you to say anything. I will handle this." or after my dad passed, my cousins would say, "Don't say anything. You have an American accent. We don't want, and we have enough troubles as it is."
Right.
So, yeah, I've encountered almost every Nigerian has
Can
encountered.
you distinguish just by looking at a member of SARS from a regular policeman, or is every cop considered SARS?
You can't distinguish them. Some SARS are not in regular uniform.
So they're walking around in civilian clothes and everything like
Yeah,
that.
right.
Oh,
And
wow.
then the police, remember I told you in the police also, you have this police harassment has been going on for a while. So you have police sitting on the street too, asking you for money as well. So it's all over. You can't escape it. You just got to pray and hope that you don't get thrown into the back of a van
Okay.
because they feel like you have on nice gear or that you have a nice cell phone that's
Or you
actually
can go to the ATM and grab them some money.
and grab them some money.
Now, the reason why I asked that too, how you can identify them versus the regular police, 'cause I'm assuming regular policemen have at least like a service revolver or service pistol, or maybe even an assault rifle like an AK-47. The SARS members, are they just typically a bunch of them in one spot? Are they armed with clubs? Do they have knives, guns, etc.? Or
From what I understand, they do have some kind of guns and stuff like that, but you can't really honestly distinguish them because they are riding around in civilian clothes in cars. Policemen, you see them in police uniform.
right.
But yeah, it's not easy to distinguish who they are. So
Right. And I know that they are doing the whole, they'll ride around in a van, see you walking, and literally just grab you. I've also heard from two of the people who I contacted in Nigeria that there have been massive home invasions where in the middle of the night they just kick in your door because they know you don't have guns. And this isn't me. Again, I'm a super gun guy, super 2A guy. I'm not trying to make that an issue.
yeah.
Because that's not what I'm here to argue that the people in Nigeria should have fought for their 2A rights because they don't have 2A rights. Regardless. What I'm saying is because that the police and SARS know that the only way that there's going to be met with gunfire in this house is these are actual criminals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That everyone they go is pretty much a lick to be hit. But beyond that, they're so bold to break into houses and everything. It's not just money they're coming for. They're raping women. They're brutalizing and killing people.
I mean, the breaking into the houses is there, but it's not as bad.
Because it's not the quickest way for them to get money. They would
No,
rather
it's
grab
not.
you in the street, empty your pockets, take you to the ATM.
Right. It's
In
not
the house,
as-
the
but-
house it gets messy.
Right. So, but if we miss this opportunity to get it right, I think the whole
It's going to escalate. It
it's
absolutely is
going to escalate.
It absolutely-
Right. So yeah, it's a huge problem in Nigeria, and I'm really looking for ways or tips or suggestions on how to move forward. A bunch of us have been raising money to figure out a way or what needs to be done. Again, is a problem of bad governance. And
Now, we were talking about who's in SARS. I sent you a document in Facebook Messenger from one of my contacts over there, who what it appears to be, and I'm going to read it for you guys. What it appears to be is a selection from a document that outlines like a job posting. Basically, if you want to be a member of SARS, these are the requirements you have to make. Now, I got it from a third party, and when you're looking at it, it says it comes from Naija. I'm saying that right, NaijaLoaded.com.ng, which I'm assuming is the suffix for the internet in Nigeria.
right.
There's no other labels on here, so for all I know, this could have just been typed up, by somebody and posted on that website. I don't know. However, the way it reads, it doesn't read like a doctored document. So I'll read it to you guys.
Right.
It says SARS recruitment form requirements for 2020/2021 are as follows. Number 1, applicant must have possessed a minimum of second-class lower degree or HND. What does that mean?
HND is I want to say is an equivalent of an associate.
An associate's degree, so not a high school graduate, but at least 2 years of undergrad wherever. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Must be a Nigerian citizen. So those first two are equivalent to American police. Most police forces, unless you're in like in a rural small town or something like that, require you to have at least an associate's and be a citizen.
Yeah.
All right. Must be between the age limit of 20 and 30 years and must not be more than 40 years of age by January. So that year you apply, you can't be more than 40.
40, right.
Okay. Will be medically, mentally, and physically healthy according to NA standards. So I'm assuming that's the Nigerian authority or police force, whatever their fitness and health wellness standards are.
Right.
Okay. At least 2 recognizable referees must recommend the applicant. You got to get 2 letters of recommendation. So all this seems pretty standard, nothing outrageous or anything like that. A male applicant must measure 1.68 meters. I want to say that is 5'7", 5'8".
5'7", 5'8", yeah.
Yeah, I don't do the metric system. But, and females must be 1. So I can't even read it because it's got a highlighted selection, which is about to blow you guys' mind. 1.6 something meters. I think it's 1.65. I don't know. So almost the same height in height. You can't be a normal or a smaller woman. Here's the one that blew me away. Candidate must be an ex-convict.
See, I don't know how accurate that is.
Right. To wrap your head around that, what do they mean by convict? Like a felon, a misdemeanor, or somebody who, and then
in the jail, like,
yeah. And then number 2, because SARS is a special task force that is considered treated like police, but they're not technically the police, correct?
Right.
Okay. So then I'm trying to wrap my brain around, how are you a certified police officer and a criminal? You know what I mean? But then I'm like, if you look at the name, what was it? Special Anti-Robbery Squad, right?
Right.
This is a specific tactic. So I don't know if you've seen the movie Catch Me If You Can. It's Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, where
I think
Leonardo plays Frank Abagnale, who was like the most legendary scammer of all time. To the point where the FBI finally caught him and said, "Hey, teach us how to scam so we can catch other scammers."
Right. Okay, yeah.
So again, your brain tries to make sense of nonsense and trauma and chaos. I'm like, maybe before these guys became scumbags, they created this thing for a good reason. They wanted people. This is like an auxiliary of the actual police. They're supposed to be helping police identify what criminals do, where they move, and how they do it.
Right.
But they're not supposed to be
when you look at it that way, it makes sense because
maybe again, I'm pulling that out. I am an American. I'm trying to make this make sense because that is the only way that fucking makes sense to me. Okay,
right.
The only way. Must have a valid age declaration from the government. I'm assuming that's like a birth certificate.
Yeah.
Okay. Must have a valid certificate of state of origin. So something that says you're from Nigeria or
state.
Individual states in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have a driver's license, it says New York, Maryland, DC.
All right. Must have a valid certificate. I already said that one. Where's it at? Applicants must have NYSC certificate or exemption letter. What is that? NYSC.
National Youth Service Corps. So after you graduate college in Nigeria, they make you serve.
It's like it's mandatory enlistment into the military, but you might not be active duty like an infantryman. You might just be a supporter auxiliary. Okay.
Right. So it's pretty much it's like doing an internship, but you do it after you've graduated.
Right, and it's mandatory for everybody in there. It's government service, which
Yep.
I both love and hate that, as long as it's because when you hear that, Americans hear that, I'm not joining the military and going to fight the war. You're not going to draft me. No, there's not everybody who goes and does this becomes.
No, they don't even draft you. It's just that it's mandatory. So depending on somebody's age, if you decide to go back to Nigeria to run for president and you did not do the NYSC, they'll make you do it.
Trump. Oh, so they won't even like qualify you. They'll go make you do it before you can even. Oh, that's already more accountability than we have for a commander in chief. Hold on. That's already more accountability than we have for the commander in chief. Did you get a gunshot? Okay, I just needed to do that.
No, but then again, being Nigeria, people always try to bribe their way out of that.
Oh, I believe it. Cadet bone spurs, deferments, and I'm rich. Can we not?
Yeah, they bribe their way out of it.
Which, if you're smart, that's a great way to find out how to act. If you're smart and you're actually interested in making things better and being a savvy politician, this would imagine buying your way out of law school so you could be a lawyer.
Yeah.
How good of a lawyer are you going to be? You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make any sense. But
and speaking of that, in Nigeria, you have a lot of people that went to law school that actually are like don't work in that field, and I get it, but I'm talking about very contrasting, or somebody that did was an English major, and they are because they know somebody that knows somebody. And I don't know if you've seen this quote by one of the activists in Nigeria. She's saying that she wants in Nigeria where the daughter of a nobody can still be somebody in this country. Nigeria is a country
Daughter
where
of nobody can still
can
be some. Was
can
it? Is she like a pretty well-known feminist that did?
she I don't know if you've seen the picture with her fist in the air. She had her hijab and everything on.
Oh no, I didn't see this one. Okay.
Yeah, and
gotta
she
send me that.
had that quote. And in Nigeria, if you don't have connections, bump that. You're not gonna get ahead.
No matter how qualified you are, if you
No
don't know,
matter how qualified you are, you're not gonna get ahead. It's a done deal. And that's another reason why Nigerians are fighting. They are saying we want a Nigeria that's equal and fair for everybody.
because we're screwing ourselves. Our talent is not being used,
Right,
and then we're starving behind it. That's insane.
right.
Well, that's good to know. I'm learning things. Applicants must present parent guardians. I think this is I think it's present. Applicants must present parent guardians and next of kin contact addresses and phone. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Background check, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Applicant must not have any form of tattoos. What y'all got against tattoos?
Okay, that's another thing. SARS picked people up with tattoos. If
And
you
what
have
kind of weak ass fellas y'all got? It says you got to be a convict. What kind of weak ass convicts y'all got with no tattoos? So I'm dead ass. So that what this is telling me is when they say convict, they want people who understand criminals, who know criminals, but are the bitches of the criminal world.
But
so that they
but Nigeria does not associate tattoo as being hardcore.
Oh, that's awesome.
They don't.
Because I'm sure a lot of people
they associate tattoo as being ungodly.
Oh, I keep forgetting about the very, very, very strong Christian influence,
Christian or Muslim or religion,
just religion in general,
right?
decency influence, and not only in Nigeria but in most African nations. That's still a very prevalent.
Right.
Ah.
So it's like a moral thing for them. They
You're defacing your temple, if you will.
Yeah.
How does that rationalize with tribal marks? Does that same stigma apply to tribal scarring? Because
and that's the irony of it. They don't look at tribal marks as a tattoo. They look at it as a cultural thing. So one of the reasons why Nigeria or most African countries are where they are today is religion, ethnicity, culture is what's keeping us back. Like, for instance, I was talking to a friend in Lagos today, and she was like, oh yeah, it would be good if people could raise money to help businesses that have been vandalized. I'm like, I'm all for that. Let me know where I can donate. She was like, yeah, while we're at it, maybe we should rebuild the police department. I'm like, wait a minute. The same police department that has been brutalizing people is what you want to rebuild? Like, help me make this make sense.
But as confused as you are, that is the exact same argument we're having here. Defund the police. No, we need to give them more money and tanks and shit to shoot. What? like,
and I'm explaining to him, like, what message are you sending across if you guys use the money that you donated, that you don't even have, to rebuild the police station that was supposed to serve the people and it didn't? No,
they can throw you in there and nobody knows where you are.
Where you are. Does that make sense to you? Like,
I want people who are listening to this. I see we got 5 viewers. Shout out y'all, but anybody who might be watching this now or after, to understand that this shouldn't be detached to you. Not only because if you're black, I don't understand how you look at other black people suffering and don't feel a way about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's Africa, Haiti, or anywhere. You know what I mean? But they are literally fighting the same shit that is going on here. It's just it doesn't get the same context unless you're from there.
Right.
We look at this as, oh, our nation is civilized and we're just fighting the societal ills, the worst parts of us. Okay.
Yeah.
We that's how Americans like to compartmentalize it, because we like to view ourselves as the example for everybody else to strive to, and freedom, liberty, whatever it may be. These are the exact same problems. The only difference is they don't get to afford themselves the facade and alibi that this is solely about race, because everybody over there is African.
Right.
It's not a tribe. No one tribe is safe from this shit. You know what I mean? Like it is. What comes down to the haves and the have-nots. A main thing that whenever we try to talk about real reform, about police violence and everything, is that the people who are opposed Black Lives Matter and everything say that, oh, you guys only care about Black lives when they get killed by a white police officer. What about Chicago? What about this? What about black on black crime? And
yeah,
I don't entertain those coon ass arguments. You know, that's propaganda. It's what it is. Okay, but at the same time, it's like, why are we having that conversation with the government who is attacking us?
Yeah.
What does crime have to do with the people who are supposed to be the legislative or you know, the law enforcement agency?
Yeah.
We can assume that's a racial lines here, because that it disproportionately affects Black people here. So we can ignore it. It still serves the establishment to say, oh, it's just, maybe it is racial. It's got nothing to do with the fact that crime follows poverty. That is a criminological fact. Yeah. Anywhere you go, around, anywhere there's abject poverty, anywhere that there's disenfranchisement, anywhere that there's a lack of education, anywhere that there's a place where women are not stratified on the same level in terms of earning ability, educational opportunities, their health, their autonomy to their bodies, there is crime, because you create an edge effect where there are people who have, there are people who do not have, and the people who do not have want to have something.
Yeah.
But they learn really quick it's dangerous to victimize these people.
Not only crime, but you have a high rate of people having babies.
Yeah, because that's all you do when you're broke.
Yeah.
You're not getting the education on how to family plan, and then you factor in that Nigeria, by our definition, will be a very conservative nation, where the point of fucking is, I'm sorry, having sexual intercourse is to reproduce. Whereas Americans, I mean, I'm not saying that people ain't getting it in Nigeria, but in American culture, we smash because we want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there is a much higher presence, strong prevalence. Like we look at Mike Pence as a weirdo. Oh, he's just, or the evangelicals that's their crowd. You know what I mean? They're just super Jesus-y or whatever. That's a norm in the African, and like even the most liberal people over there still have a very strong connection to religion and decency and stuff like that. So when you're poor, that's all there is.
A lot of Nigerians in Nigeria are huge Trump supporters. You know why?
It does not surprise me in the least.
Because they say Trump is a Christian.
Which is insane. How you watch that man walk up to that. Never mind the church. Before that, this shit stuck out of my head, because I'm a heathen. However, I am familiar with, you know, religion. I went to church. My mother's Catholic, so I was Catholic because that's how that works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I understand communion. I understand the Bible and everything like that. When this man was running in 2016, they asked him, or no, nobody even asked him. You know, like those memes where they go, nobody, absolutely nobody, and then somebody says some dumb shit. He just happened to pull out his ass. Oh, I was reading the Bible, my favorite verse in 2 Corinthians. And I don't know what I was doing at the time.
2 Corinthians, I remember that.
I want to say I was at work and I heard this on the radio. But I drive for work. So I remember just going, nigga, what? Like, I'm a heathen and I know that it's 2 Corinthians. You know what I mean? I'm like, this man.
Trump has not set foot in the church before, I don't think.
And then, so that was in 2016. Never mind the fact that just a few months ago, this man maced and pepper sprayed protesters so that he could go in front of a church that he's never been in.
Yeah.
Or a photo op with the Bible that he held upside down.
Yep.
And then he questions the religious fervor and faith of a man who, if you don't think that man's religious, the tragedy, and again, I'm not a huge Biden fan at all, you know what I mean? But I call a spade a spade. There's no doubt in this man's religious devotion, because even if you did, the stuff that has happened to him in his life would have broke a normal man without some kind of faith, whether or not that's faith in religion, without, you know what I mean? Like the shit that man has been through.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's clear to me that his faith is the only thing holding him up.
No, seriously.
And beyond that, you could just like they teach these. It blows me away whenever I see kids who grew up in the church who their parents might be preachers. So they develop that preacher voice real quick when they're like kids and everything like that.
Yeah.
But so they're groomed to preach or how to speak and everything. Joe Biden has a preacher's voice, but he's not trying to preach to you. You know what I mean? He's talking to you from him, but what he says is a word, a gospel, whatever.
Right. With
You
passion.
only get that if you believe your own brand of bullshit. Now, whether or not it's bullshit or another, but you believe it. You know what I mean? Like, the man carries around his dead son's rose. Like, what? That shit would trigger me. You know what I mean? But like, but then you see this man walking around 2 Corinthians. I was just like, what? And then if rappers, like, black people, the second that you wear some fake Jordans or some fake Louis or whatever it is, or you use the wrong slang, or you ain't gang, you ain't part of the culture, how all these Christians can look at this man who's got 5 kids by 3 women, or I forgot how many it is, but he's had 3
baby mamas.
3 baby mamas, got caught with, and again, I'm not slut shaming, I don't mind porn stars at all, strippers, but got caught paying prostitutes while married.
Right.
And his number 2 is the most evangelical, damn near zealot, you know what I mean? Like, ever.
All of that was.
And they look at you with a straight face, like, yeah, he's a Christian. I'm not saying Christians are perfect. That's the premise of the religion, is that you're not fucking perfect, but you're supposed to be at least trying to be, or at least sorry for the shit that you do wrong and not trying to do it again.
Trump doesn't care.
That man ain't said sorry to nobody.
Nobody.
Ever. Yesterday, I do take responsibility, but it's not my fault.
I didn't feel like watching the debate.
I watch it for my podcast, for the people who aren't, I scored the debate, which I'm gonna get into later on my own thing. But so let me do a recap, and then we can end it with what we can do to help. Okay.
Yeah.
Started out saying that this isn't just merely a police brutality problem. That's how it's manifesting. It absolutely is a thing, but this is not. This comes from decades and decades in a young nation that is being held to a standard by foreign media that a country that is 400 years old can't live up to. But that's a whole nother conversation. You have a young nation who is finally finding its identity in many ways, but at a cost. Yeah. Because the people in power are not only overpaid, just in any way you slice it, but because they're overpaid, their interests aren't the people. Their interests are their positions. Exactly. And because of that, you've got bad governance, and where even before this whole SARS thing, the country would restrict resources, would cut power, electricity to people, would hoard food and other aid to its citizens. And now you juxtapose that with they formed this squad either in the late 80s, early 90s, which was supposed to be to combat robbery, which is was or is a very big problem in Nigeria. However, you've got people who are I won't say less than educated, but not as educated as they should be. Right. You got people who are most likely have a criminal background themselves, and that's why they were sought out. If this document has any sort of veracity, and then there's little to no oversight over these people, even if they were model candidates. And on top of that, they're not paid well, so they have an edge. The only way to make their money is to become the predator of the people that they're supposed to be protecting. So it doesn't matter if they're the same tribe. It doesn't matter if they're from the same area. It doesn't matter if it's a city or a rural area. You have something that I need or want. I don't care if you have less money than I do. I want the money that you have because my family has to eat. I have to eat, whatever. The haves, the have-nots. Yeah. That's where it goes. And because of that, that is manifested to the point where you have people being robbed in broad daylight with no recourse. You got people getting beat. You got people getting killed. You got people getting raped. Yep. To the point where Gen Z has had enough. Yep. Gen Z went out there to protest. At which point, the most bizarre, I won't say bizarre, but the most egregious part of this is that the active duty military, not SARS, not a local police department who felt that their lives were in danger, where we heard that shit before, the active duty Nigerian military fired upon peaceful, unarmed protesters and killed at least 78 people, at least.
Military that was supposed to defeat Boko Haram and they couldn't.
Oh yeah, we ain't gonna talk about Boko. You know what I mean? They're still there, correct? Yeah. Okay. The military fired on unarmed citizens, killed at least 78 of them. The government, instead of acknowledging this, the government, instead of punishing the military, or doing any kind of civilian oversight, whoever gave the order, is trying to act like one, it didn't happen.
Yep, they're trying to do damage control now.
So now you have all over social media. DJ Swift was her name. Is that what you said?
Switch.
DJ Switch. Oh, there's a DJ that I grew up with in Baltimore. That's why I said Swift. R.I.P. K Swift. Anyway, DJ Switch has a platform of social media to the point where it's putting her life in danger because she has uploaded video, which I will attempt to get some on my YouTube channel of exactly what happened at the
live shooting while it was happening.
At the, what was the name of the toll gate? The
Lekki toll gate.
Lekki toll gate, in which dozens and dozens of people were murdered. Dozens of young people. When I say young people, I'm not talking about 24, 20. I'm talking about 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Getting killed and dying like, geez. Like, because Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where we're at. The main thing that I hope to accomplish from this is not only clarity and context for anybody who might not have known what the hell was going on, but to hope that the awareness spreads. Just like we have hashtags here, for Breonna Taylor, for Black Lives Matter. This needs to spread because it's clear that the Nigerian government has no interest in fixing this. That it's going to take international pressure, whether or not it's from the U.S. Good luck with the Agent Orange. Maybe, you know what I mean? But like, whether it's from the U.S., NATO,
whoever wins the election in the U.S. on November 3rd,
United Nations,
will have an influence on what happens in Nigeria.
So we need to keep awareness high, not only for the sake of letting them know that the microscope that they are in the Budweiser hot seat, but to make it known that when our foreign policy is in shambles, this needs to be a priority for us as well. Us as Black Americans, us as Nigerian Americans, as whoever you are.
Yeah.
Awareness is the only thing that's even going to, because the government there is not interested. The government there figures that they can starve these people out, that they can cut the power, that they can rename and make small concessions and go out back to business as usual.
Yeah, and the Nigerians in Nigeria, honestly, they are not asking for handouts. All my brothers and sisters in Nigeria want is for us to stop killing them. They want a better Nigeria. They want to, because when you look at it, Nigerians outside Nigeria, we thrive, you know. I mean, in the U.S. alone, Nigerians are one of the most educated, you know what I mean? So all Nigerians in Nigeria asking for is an opportunity to be like, to be the great nation that it's supposed to be. Mandela said it best. Mandela said that if Nigeria gets it right, the rest of Africa will get it. And that's because Nigeria is considered the giant of Africa, because we have a lot of natural resources. We have lots of oil. We have manpower. We have a lot of, I mean, even with the limited resources Nigeria has, look at what comes out of Nigeria. Afrobeats, Nigeria. Movies, Nollywood, Nigeria. And they still make all that happen.
I feel like Nollywood's going to be where it needs to be in a good 15 to 20 years, because if for nothing else, they believe in themselves. Like, you watch this, and if you're from here, you're gonna look at it. What the fuck did I just watch? But on the other hand, it's like they have the juice. This is like an underground, like a mixtape artist who don't quite have the production and don't have the resources yet, but he knows his shit is fire. Like,
Nigerians could make a badass movie in 10 days. I'm talking about guerrilla production.
Their interpretation of the old kung fu movies. And the special, obviously, it was like, if you're looking at it like a movie snob, this is terrible. But if you're looking at it as somebody who is doing this from nothing,
yeah,
and just maybe in 5 years this has popped up, then I'm seeing this in America.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be ridiculous quite soon.
Yeah, I mean, Nigeria actually.
There's a series on Netflix. I forgot what it was called, but it's Black women in Africa. It's like an action series, a queen or something. Shit.
I'm sure Netflix is like huge on Nollywood now. Like,
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, and there's a documentary on Netflix. I want your viewers to go see. I'm gonna pull it up real quick so I can give you the exact name. This documentary gives you a detailed history about Nigeria and how the name of Nigeria came about. So it is called, come on, where is this? Okay, it's called Journey of an African Colony, The Making of Nigeria.
Oh, while I got you here, because I've always had a question about this, and every time I read a book, it gives me a different thing. Benin, That's not part of Nigeria, correct?
You mean the Republic of Benin?
Right.
Nigeria has a state called Benin, but the Republic of Benin is a different
It's
country.
something totally different.
Mhm.
Okay. With the you talked about how the colonizers drew their own lines, whatever.
Mhm.
Was at one point ethnically or culturally the state of Benin and the Republic of Benin, are they close together? Or are they neighbors, or were they ever linked? Or is
No,
it's just a
no,
common
but
name?
it's a common name, but quite honestly, when you watch this documentary that I talked about,
Uh-huh.
you will see that most of these African countries had a connection.
Okay.
And I'm talking about it dates back to the 15th century.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it then, because every time I try to figure this out, in the last I had already rationalized that it's not that I didn't care, it's just that my head hurt. But it wasn't until Black Panther came out, and then that scene where Eric Killmonger was pointing to the different article. I'm like, no, I never got a fucking answer about where this was. So that's good. I want to.
And one other thing that I want to say is everything they taught us in school in Nigeria was a lie. They taught us.
They taught you in Nigeria?
Yeah, about how Nigeria came about was a lie.
You can't even get African history in Africa?
Let me tell you this. So they told us that one of the colonizers, his name is Lord Lugard. You probably have heard about him. Him and his girlfriend named Nigeria, created the amalgamation of Nigeria back in 1914, and they named Nigeria Nigeria. In this documentary, and people probably knew before I knew, I just watched this documentary the other day and I was infuriated. The name Nigeria, okay, so it came about nigger, right? So Nigeria was named out of nigger, but it was nigger area. That's how Nigeria came about.
Are you fucking me right now?
No.
I thought it was related to the river, but then I was like, where did the river get it from?
That same river was actually nigger river. Like it was, so there was I think Mali, they named Mali nigger something, and they didn't want to. And see, that's the mistake Nigeria made. Most of these countries, once they got their independence, they changed their name. Right. Nobody in Nigeria ever thought, okay, maybe we should change this name. No.
What about Niger? Like, is that the same thing?
Niger probably was also named out of that, but Nigeria really means nigger area.
The white people, the audacity.
Like the total audacity, right? The total audacity. Like that documentary, I tap danced around watching it. When I watched it, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, so for instance, in Nigeria, they don't teach us a lot about slave trade. They don't. Unlike Ghana, no. Check this out. Check this out.
Nigeria. They don't teach you about the transatlantic.
Not a lot. It's not in our curriculum like it should be.
This is depressing me because you're from Africa. Like hoteps exist now because they're before they became, there's guys who just are using it trying to get spiritual, smell good women but the average person who is drawn to it, romanticizing Egypt, is because they are just looking for something to cling to as an identity beyond what we're told we are here. You know what I mean?
And I'm glad and that's a good thing, because for us Ghana right now, you go to Ghana has the point of no return. They have that building and everything.
Right.
Nigeria has Badagry in Lagos, but it's not really utilized like it should. Nigeria had one of the worst slave histories that you can ever imagine, but somebody somewhere was able to suppress it, that we don't talk about it. Nigeria right now, like you already know, we have 200 million people. During slave trade, about 4 million people were stolen from like it was bad. And nobody tells that story. And that's why when you see Africans that end up coming to the US, they have this animosity with their African American brothers and sisters because nobody ever taught them about slavery.
My best friends in high school were all African, and they were never like bigoted towards me. But I think one of the reasons why I got along with them too, because they recognized I was smart. Like I was in all their classes too and keeping up with them.
Yeah.
So, and I was reasonably popular. I wasn't like Mr. High School, but I was a nerd who also was athletic, so
Mhm.
we messed. So I
Yeah.
thought we were good. All through high school, though, they used to sneak me in and out of their house, and I didn't get hip to what it was because you figure it's the summer, their parents are already at work,
Mhm.
so I'm here during the day, and then I leave because I gotta go home.
Yeah.
It wasn't until like you trying to hang. We've been playing Mortal Kombat or whatever it is all day. Why I gotta go home? Let me just crash here, or you come. You know what I mean? They could always come to my house, no problem.
Right.
But when I try to stay over there, they would make excuses. I'm like, it took me like a good 2 years to catch.
To catch
Are
on.
you trying to get rid of me, my nigga? Like, and then like they're the younger brothers, but all their sisters were cool. You know what I mean? Because they at first they were like, "Why'd you bring him here?" But then they saw that I wasn't like, a thug or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it was like, "Oh, you got to get him out of here before mommy gets home or before daddy gets home." And I was like, "You didn't tell him I was coming? No, we told him you were coming. We didn't tell him you were still here." And I was like, "All right, I'll meet him." Nah, nah. You know what I mean? And then they would come to school for whatever function. They would meet me and it'd be cool, but it was just different. And then one day I just refused to fucking leave. I'm like, I'm not fucking leaving. Because they literally had me climb out a window. Like it was a basement with a window in the laundry room that was just above ground. And I'm like, I don't even sneak out of girls' houses like this. But y'all are dudes and my best friends. So one day I just refused to fucking leave. And then they were nervous and shit. And they're like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" And then I was like, "Hi, I win, right?" And I got my first taste of fufu. That was great. And then they gave me this stew, which Kenny and Tenny, they warned me. That's what I call them. Their names are Kenny and Taiwo, but I call them Kenny and Tenny.
Uh-huh.
So they were like, "Don't eat that." I'm like, "Why?" I've never had this before. I'm gonna. They're like, "You can't handle it." I was like, "What are you talking about? It's spicy." I'm like, they know I don't like spicy food. I'm like, "No, you already can't handle normal spicy food. You can't eat this." I'm like, "Fuck you. I'll taste it. At least it's rude if I don't." You know what I mean? But I tell you, my mouth was on fire for 4 fucking hours. And then they tried. I'm like, "This isn't even the hot shit." And I was like,
It probably
"Dude,
wasn't the hot stuff. No, it probably
I already,
wasn't.
I already, and this sucks because I'm half Latino. I can't handle spicy food. I'm the worst one. My whole family makes fun of me of this, but it's not like I'll try to grit it out. My mouth will literally peel. So
Oh.
I don't know if it's like an allergy or whatever, but I just can't do it.
Oh wow.
But
It's
I'll never
bad.
forget that day
Okay.
that I ate that out of the, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I thought I got over, right? I wake up. It was a Saturday night. I wake up in the morning. "Oh, you're coming to church with us now," and I didn't bring any church clothes. So I had to wear. I'm a good 6 inches taller than both of them. And at the time I wore like a size 11. They might have wore a size 9. So I'm wearing the church clothes. And then African church is just as long as Black people's church.
Going to church in the African house is not going to church is a no. You gotta go to church.
I'm scared because I don't want to fall asleep because I don't want the parents to judge me. But then two, the shoes are so small that they hurt. So I couldn't fall asleep even though I wanted to. But they're on both sides of me sleeping, about to get me in trouble. So I'm like, "Wake up." Like it was the weirdest. But after that, I was Gucci, you know what I mean? Like they love
Yeah.
me. They say come over whenever. But
Yeah.
all that to say is that there is particularly with Nigerians, that there's this barrier which at best manifests as something childish like that you can overcome just with friendship.
Mm-hmm.
When you're meeting in the professional sphere, when you're meeting competing for jobs, or one of you has to hire a Nigerian or vice versa, a Nigerian has to hire from you, that's a very real thing. And it hurts me to know that you can be African in Africa, from Africa, and still not get African history. If that's not compelling to people, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's another thing that the curriculum needs to change. In Nigeria, they need to include more history, because we wouldn't know what the future holds if we don't know what our past is, right?
Absolutely.
So that needs to change. All kind of statues of any kind of British whoever needs to get torn down like now. I don't know if there's
like our Confederate statues. Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Like,
tear those things down because they've been lying to us. My dad used to brag about how he fought in the British Army. That was, when I think about it right now, Dad, rest in peace, but that was bullshit. They used y'all.
Yeah.
They used them and left the country with nothing to lift itself back up. We're still dealing with
the money and bounce. You know what I mean? Like,
right. So it's a lot of undoing that needs to get done.
Is there a political party? Because I tried to look up, America's main political parties are the Republicans and Democrats, and you can argue that there's a third party, but nothing forming a credible threat yet.
Yeah.
I tried to look up the dominant parties in Nigeria, and there's a bunch of parties. I couldn't really tell who are the main players. I do know that there are 2 main players. But the let's say the third most powerful one, how far behind second place is third place in terms of power and influence? And are any of those parties for actual reform? I'm not talking about rebranding SARS as SWAT. I'm talking about actually getting shit done and making it right. Or is there no political base for actual reform?
They all come out and say that they want to get shit right. Of course, they all give the political campaign talk, but at the end of the day, you have somebody, let's say the current president right now, he leaves office. The next person he puts in office is almost his puppet, right? The next person they make sure that gets voted in will be the puppet of the person that left before. We can't have that anymore.
So there's a democratic electorate process, but at the same time, the influence, like the super PACs, the people who buy the elections, that's still a thing.
Are still there. They're still behind them. So, and then this might sound cruel, but the same thing Ghana did when Jerry Rawlings, when he went and he killed off all those old politicians.
Yeah.
Maybe Nigeria might want to look into that, but of course you didn't hear it from me. But so a lot of change needs to be done, but creating awareness like you're doing right now is much appreciated, because SARS needs to end, and for that to happen we need international awareness. And
our messenger's blowing up. I'm sorry, that's distracted. Well, I'm glad that you were able to respond to my bolo for somebody who knows more than.
Shout out to Chanel. Shout out to Chanel. She was the one that tagged me.
In contact. You're more than welcome to come back. I'm obviously going to keep my ear to the ground, but I'm limited to what I'm told by the media, what I'm told by gleaning from the groups that I'm in with hella Africans. If there's ever anything that you want to get out there, my YouTube channel is your YouTube channel, or if you need me to come on your show, whatever, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm going to put up what I can filter out. That's not too graphic, not necessarily just for YouTube, not to ban me, but I don't want to trigger anybody. But what's happening over there is nothing short of horrific, and it needs to be one of our concerns. I know we got a lot on our fucking plate here, but this is not something that's going to get better without international pressure.
Yeah.
And we are eventually going to return to the international scene, hopefully with some credibility at some point. This needs to be a priority.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I appreciate you guys actually hashtagging and bringing more awareness to it. Thank you so much. And you guys go vote.
Absolutely. Do you have anything else you want to plug? I know you have. Where can they find the News with Obi? Where is that?
The News with Obi can be found on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. All The News with Obi. I have a podcast that is on Spotify, Apple, and you can now ask Alexa to pull up The News with Obi podcast as well.
I haven't tried that. I'm on Spotify. I need to ask Alexa. You got me saying it, Alexa. if you can find
Amazon about a month and a half ago came up.
Podcast.
Yes.
So, I submitted mine and I haven't heard back from them yet, so we'll see.
You probably won't hear back. Just go check. It's probably already up on there.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll go check.
Yeah.
Okay. Good talk.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you for coming through and shedding the perspective and giving the inside look at it. And I look forward to doing this again as more develops or anything else comes up. All right.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Take it easy.
All right.
The following will feature cell phone footage of the events of October 20th, 2020, in which the Nigerian army fired upon unarmed protesters at the Lekki toll gate in Lagos, Nigeria. The Nigerian government is denying that anyone was killed.
This is what we see in Nigeria. See what they are causing. See, they are releasing fire. They are releasing fire. This is Lekki toll gate. Soldiers have been sent down here. This is Lekki toll gate. Shooting at the protestants. This is Lekki toll gate. We need help here. Protesters are still on the ground.
Siam. Please, how can we take this guy? How can we get him into hospital? Please, you need to move in. You need to move in a group. You need to move in a group to the hospital. Because why would they protest? Make this guy not go get infection. Yes, we need to. Yes, they need to remove the bullets. Move your flag. Move your flag. This is somebody that survived. They shot the person's leg, right? This one survived. Other people they've been shot and killed. Okay, look. If anybody can assist us, if you live close to Lekki Gates, please. I don't know. Maybe a group can come. If you can help. Please be your brother's keeper. They need to remove this bullet from this boy's leg so that they don't cut this boy's leg so that he doesn't get infected, please. So armed robbers rob and they shoot us. Armed robbers are robbing and they're shooting us.
Another one. Put your light on, Put your light on.
Everybody put your light on. Oh, see when they want to shoot us.
On your light, on your phone light and stay down. Everybody stay down.
Oh, bro, this is the way you don't know this. You need to tie him. No, yes. You need to go. They let them remove bullets like that. They let them remove bullets like that. See, no, we tie your leg, Relax, Now, somebody give me, okay, see, this flag, I go put pressure on top of this flag. Hold on. I don't say it go pain, but hold on down. Yes, apply pressure. Yes, but apply pressure, even though he has a tourniquet. Just apply pressure. This tourniquet not tight. You need to tie him. This is tourniquet. Tie him, stretch him. Tie him, tight him. Stretch him. Thank you. My brother, Pele. Look at him. Look at this guy.
Put that thing for your mouth. Put that thing for your mouth. Put that thing for your mouth.
Look at this man. He's still hold on, nothing to you. We there here with you.
It is your right.
We there here with you.
This is
We there here with you. We are here with you.
Yes.
We are here with you. If not so, nothing there.
You will not die.
Nothing there.
Nothing
will die, don't worry.
Nothing will happen to you.
Please, if there is a way, in times like this, medical ambulance will come.
Yes.
Please, people, if you can call the medical ambulance, they can come to Lekki toll gate. The soldiers are supposed to let the document that one. Please record my life.
If he should die in this situation, Nigeria, this is now. Even the military,
Sorry.
the people couldn't get them.
They are shooting us.
We are not.
My battery will soon die.
We don't have any arms. We are
Everybody, my battery will soon die.
and we have our
I can
flag.
log.
We don't
I don't know.
have
Your
any
phone
arms.
full.
Our
Okay, my
flag is
Instagram.
our only arm.
So once my own dies, I'll log on with your phone. Or you can log. I don't need to log on. You can use your own. It doesn't matter. Log with your own.
They don't burn ourselves now. We see as they don't burn. They don't press like that.
Please, if you can call any ambulance, the soldiers are supposed to let them pass. Guy, it's okay. Guy, no put you go infect this guy.
No, don't just choke something.
You go infect this guy, they go cut this guy leg if he gets infection.
No,
put
don't choke
the when I put
inside.
apply pressure. Please. Lighter, if you get lighter, we need to burn something. We need to burn metal and close the skin.
We burn metal and we press it on.
Okay, get lighter.
No.
You want the option?
We press metal
you
on
want
it
the
already.
option?
We press metal on
Well,
it.
we will need to burn the metal and press it against your wound.
We have done. We will press something hot and we'll press on it.
You need to seal them if you want done like that.
Don't do it.
You need to seal it. If not, hold this thing. Make people try call ambulance, please, so that you don't infect your leg. If not, they go cut your leg. If your leg gets infected too much, okay?